All right, I'm back. We're live. We got Dismal on the line. How's it going?
Oh shit! What's happening, man? This is long overdue.
Yeah, it's been a little while. It's probably been about 4 or 5 months, huh? Has it been
Yeah,
that long? God, it's already June. My God.
yeah. I think the last time you went live was right when I got to China. I
Yeah,
remember that. Yeah, a lot's changed since then.
yeah.
It's
Everything still sucks.
yeah, it's hard to get back in the swing of it when you've been away for a little bit. I wasn't really making content for the most part for a few months, but
Dude, I'm pissed, man. You upload like 2 hour posts or whatever, and then I go to like I want to listen to them like 12 hours later, 6 hours later, the next morning, and it's gone, deleted.
I had one of them taken down. I didn't get a strike for it, but I don't know. My channel it's getting harder and harder to stay on YouTube. I've kind of talked about this a little bit, but they're making like kind of a Kafka trap. You're only allowed to associate one YouTube channel now per Gmail account, and you can only have one Gmail account per phone number.
Bro, I wasn't sure if this stream was gonna happen. It took me a while to like get it all set up and shit. Like I forgot the passwords and the emails and all that bullshit. I'm like, holy fuck, I might get locked out of my account. No, I
Yeah,
figured.
I'm locked out of a lot of stuff, man. I'm locked out of my main YouTube. I'll never get back into it. I'm surprised it's still up. It has like almost 1,000 subs, and I have no access to it, and I'll not be able to regain access to it either. So I had to start anew, but
Is my audio working?
you sound all right to me.
Oh, people say I sound like shit. Well, I guess so. I mean, life's takes a toll on you.
Oh, that's Night Monkey. I wouldn't really pay him too much mind.
Yeah.
People saying I can't use StreamYard anymore. I haven't been on StreamYard in ages. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were originally going to review a movie. I thought that would be kind of like a nice icebreaker for
Yeah,
you
I know,
trying
but no,
to
I
learn.
figured no one would want to hear that, so we can do it still though. Like even maybe at the end of the stream or do it next time, whatever. I actually want to discuss films with you guys again. And I do want to go over like just about every Darren Aronofsky film there is. Like I want to just go run down the list because his movies are I don't know, pretty solid for contemporary American film. Like you're at your modern movie. Uh,
They're the best you're going to get kind of post like 2016, 2020.
yeah, and they're kind of my I don't know. I like the dark, kind of depressing, just brutal films. So they're right up my alley.
We were going to do The Whale. That was your suggestion, and I thought it was really good. I had watched it, um, half of it last night, half of it today. And did you see Wyatt Stagg's analysis of that film?
No,
Really?
no.
Oh man, I would have thought for sure that you would have already known or watched that. Is this the guy
Yeah,
that did the kind of racial outlook on 28 Days Later? Same content creator.
yeah. That's a good he's a good movie maker too.
Yeah, he's been inactive for a long time, but I think he puts a lot of effort into his film reviews because they're kind of like essays that he's written.
Oh shit, he did it? Okay, now I know who you're talking about. I gotta watch that then. Fuck
Yeah,
me.
Wyatt Stagg, 28 Days Later, the one that
Yeah,
said
yeah,
it's all
yeah.
anti-white.
Send me the link to that. Fuck, I don't
Yeah,
know if I have his channel on my YouTube channel, like subscriptions or whatever.
he said the
And-
whale was all like kind of a like a euphemism for the death of the white race, and
oh God, now I gotta watch it.
yeah. He said this is like the reason why Brendan Fraser, his career was dead essentially, and then he came back and did that film, and he got all these critical acclaims for it and everything. Like um, kind of for like making a bit of a sacrifice of I don't know, like standing in for the death of white people and representing it on screen. Essentially, they kind of allowed him to get back into the limelight in Hollywood because of it. His career was effectively dead prior to that film.
Well, I just don't think people realize what like women do to men. I mean, when a guy like that, a hotshot, has a brutal divorce, he has an allegation against a some Jew producer. He just got kind of ousted and tore down and beat down. And
Did
then
he get me too? I don't really know the
no, no, I had heard this is just alleged that some Jewish producer like touched him or something.
okay,
And
and he outed them, or he was
or I don't know, he got like they just didn't make it. They just, blackballed him out of Hollywood basically or something. I don't know. I don't
yeah
know. It's all alleged. I don't know if any of this is true. But you know how these people are in Hollywood. They have to go through you know, they're the Jew vet stuff, like they gotta, get blackmail on them or whatever they do to get, stars don't just become stars organically.
yeah nothing's organic. That's why I sort of wanted to do number one, Under the Silver Lake.
Well, yeah, that's like a must.
Did you end up seeing it or no?
Well, I reviewed it with Pat. I'd do it again though.
Oh no shit. Okay. And number two, Mulholland Drive. They both had themes of like Hollywood. Everybody knows Eyes Wide Shut, but I would say they're like the big three for sort of exposing the inner workings of like the sextortion that goes on and the inorganic dynamics in Hollywood.
Yeah, people in the chat are suggesting movies like Toy Story 3, SLC Punk. Like, I would review those. I would totally do those films. Like, I like talking about all kinds of movies. They're fun. It's good discussion. It's, you know, people don't have they don't relate because everyone's like in their own little like silos on discords and telegram, and they're watching their own like narratives and their own Facebook pages. So when you ask or request or try to get people to watch a film, and it's something you can all kind of share the experience together and kind of discuss it, so that's why it's like a fun thing to do. I don't know, a lot of people hate it or don't care about movies because they're Jewish or whatever, or they're propaganda, or I mean, who cares? It's like you gotta consume and listen and hear what the majority of people in your neighborhood or community or family or friends, or if you can't relate to people if you don't, it's like culturally relevant. I mean, a lot of people watch Toy Story 3, so it'd be worth talking about. It's actually a good movie, to be honest. Like, I'm not, it's a cartoon or whatever, so what?
Sometimes there are really deep themes in some of these like Marvel or Disney movies too. I remember there was like a one of the Guardians of the Galaxy sequels. I did my own film review of it on an old channel that I had. And it had some really deep like philosophical themes in it about eugenics and stuff like this, and it was surprising for a film like that, Guardians of the Galaxy. You'd think it's just kind of like
Oh, that's
slop,
that James
but
Gunn guy, I think. He got like I don't know, some weird quote unquote pedo allegations or something.
yeah,
And
yep.
he's an interesting guy. I mean, he didn't it's kind of like what's that late night guy?
Oh,
Uh,
not Letterman.
no, the fat kid. Or well, he's not fat anymore. Kimmel.
Yeah, yep.
Like Kimmel like lost his job for a day. It's like James Gunn lost his job for a year. Like they're back. They're still around. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, they have to
The
make
left
the
eats it up. The left eats it up. They think like, oh my God, they're censoring that this tyranny from the Republicans. Like it's just all garbage. It's bullshit.
what did Kimmel say again? I remember this debacle, but I forget what he said.
I think he said something about Charlie Kirk and laughed about it.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. But trying to rewatch this film when I was away for 4 months, I was out of the country and I didn't have any TV, and I'm not really gonna watch a film on my phone, and so this was the first movie that I've watched probably in half a year, and I realized how difficult it is for me just to watch a movie nowadays. It's almost equivalent to like what reading a science textbook would have been for people like 15 years ago. I almost don't have the focus anymore. I had to restart this movie twice because I had my phone and I wasn't really I wasn't able to watch with any kind of detail what was going on, and I don't know. I think I have brain damage at this
Well, I
point.
agree with some of these filmmakers that like talk about how important the theater is, where
Mhm.
you're not allowed to be on your phone, and you have to sit through the whole thing, absorb it, to be able to fully absorb it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Um, when you're home, it's very difficult nowadays. I had all this time off of work and I had this big stack of books I thought I was going to read and I thought I was going to get all this shit done and I pretty much just rotted away on my phone like doom scrolling on X watching fight videos and chimp outs at fast food restaurants and stuff like this. And I don't know, I think it damaged my brain. Ever since I've come back, I have no initiative. I can't will myself to do anything whatsoever.
Do you have like what are like the maybe three reasons why you like China? Like three top reasons why China's not this evil communist red scare state.
Um, there's no factoids there. Nobody's fat. There's no. As soon as you get there, contrary to what conservatives in the U.S. will tell you, there's no overbearing vibe that you're sort of like there's no road pirates. It's not like you're going to turn a corner and you're in some kind of police trap or it's very free. It's very open concept and um there's no danger anywhere even in the
I mean, isn't
ghetto.
it as simple as just the lack of black people? Is it that simple?
Yeah, I think so. I honestly think so.
I'm so
Um
sick of the race stuff that people are so scared of my racism. I mean, every major city is like a hellscape in America. I mean, it's not because of white people.
yeah, you see what's going on with these soccer matches, the
Oh,
World
I
Cup
can't
or
watch
whatever.
that shit. I can't watch it, but I'm hoping there's like a white team that's gonna pull it out. Is there even any white teams left?
No, they is I don't watch it either. I don't want to know what's going on, but from what I'm seeing in the form of memes, all the teams are just comprised of groids. Like Team Canada, FIFA came here and
Wait.
our
So
whole
Team
team were
Canada
black.
is majority black African? No way. You're not serious, are you?
I think it's exclusively black. I don't even think
Really?
it's majority black. I think it's exclusively black. And the Netherlands, all these teams, yeah, they're all
How are
groids.
people like not? How are normies just not seeing this? This whole national pride and like I sports, professional sports. If the teams were like tribal in their territories, like if
Like actual Irish
California's team
against
was
like
all
actual.
well, if you're California and you play for the California pro team, it would be more fun, like actually more legit, more you get more like fervor, you'd have more like invested in the your team if they were, but it's just like hired groids. My hired groid's better than your hired groid, it's not even fun to watch.
Yeah,
And
they're
this
like
myth,
mercenaries.
at the end of the day, let's be real about it, guys. Like black people aren't like more athletic than white people. It's all bullshit. Like
Yeah,
Caitlin Clark's a good basketball player. She's just getting I don't know why they're like discriminated against her. I don't watch the sport, but like they're stifling and making sure she's not better than she is. I mean, she's like good for the league and good for boomer white people to, it's good slop for boomer whites, but it's like they
Well,
don't want.
look at what happened in UFC. I know I don't think you really follow it too much, but they have the heavyweight champ, this British guy, white guy, very good, undefeated, knocked everybody out in like 1 minute that he's ever fought so far. And he went up against this French groid who is extremely dirty. In every single fight, he's either jammed his fingers in someone's eyes or punched them in the back of the head where you're not allowed to. And this guy, Tom Aspinall, the white heavyweight champion, this groid stuck his fingers in his eyes and blinded him. And so he couldn't continue. The fight was like called a no contest. And immediately after the fight, Dana Jew White came out and basically threw this guy under the bus. He's like, I don't know, only he knows if he could continue. Kind of saying he's skeptical about whether the injury was that bad. The guy ended up having multiple surgeries because of it. And they're disrespecting him so bad that he's basically in negotiations to like leave the UFC more or less. And then this Groyd will just like take his title without beating him. And they did the same thing with John Jones. This guy was supposed to fight John Jones. Like he was the interim champion. Jones was the champion. They had to unify the belt in that fight, but they gave Jones like some old ass retired 45-year-old guy. Like there's a lot of ethnic favoritism that goes on in these things. They're not the best. They're not the best fighters or athletes, but
What
they're
did
not
you
going to.
make of the White House bit? Like, did you think it was a good thing, or what's your take like when you see that on like the newspaper or the feed on your Yahoo or whatever?
I think UFC. We kind of talked about this briefly, you and I, on Discord. I think the UFC, to a large extent, I won't say entirely, but I think they're staged. I think they're scripted, almost like pro wrestling. Hockey definitely is. Basketball's always been, and I think once people start acknowledging this more and more, that it'll sort of bring pro wrestling kind of back into like legitimacy in a way, ironically, because the only thing that these other games had over it was that they weren't pre-scripted or predetermined outcomes. But I think UFC is basically kind of an extension of like the Zionist conservative government. They're really in bed with Trump. He's at every fight. It's I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I find it funny that Dana White could slap his wife around in public and still like be like a a prominent or a relevant person or whatever. This whole Me Too and like I don't know people. It's not. I mean, Jews get away with anything. They can get away with anything.
John Jones, he slapped around and beat up his Jewish wife, and nothing ever came of it. Like they love this guy. They're determined to just declare this guy like the greatest of all time, and the judges always give him any kind of benefit of the doubt. He's been handed a number of decision victories that he clearly should have lost. It's yeah, these things have no legitimacy anymore. People doubt the outcome, especially with how they've normalized betting along the same lines as they normalize like cannabis, and now they legalized magic mushrooms in a lot of places and legalized sports betting. It's just it's kind of a product of like this overall decadence that is like late stage westernism.
Yeah, everything is just insane. Like you can bet on like in real time and pro sports at the bar on your phone. It's like, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah,
Weed's everywhere, bro. The weed is everybody's smoking weed pens everywhere you go.
yeah. A lot of old fucks too are doing it. And I said on Celtic Cats last stream, like it's the same people that were trying to get you like police charges on your record for life for it, and now suddenly, like I remember my parents picked me up from a friend's house, and I smelled like weed. We'd been smoking it in his apartment, and they were basically saying, you know, you better start looking for another place to live. Like they were going to kick me out. Flash forward 10 years, not even, and all their friends do it. They smoke weed nonstop, like a bunch of hippies. They're lighting bongs up while my parents sit there, and it's
Well,
like, well, this
I like
gets
weed being
around that.
illegal. Weed should be illegal. It's better that way because then it's got more of a, I don't know, if it's just legal now, it's just like who cares? I don't know. It was like edgy. You could like go around the back with your buddy and have a smoke a doobie, and it was an easy way to jam up black people.
It would, when overnight something that was basically chastised and frowned upon so heavily becomes so permissible, it almost exposes the government as being like immoral in a way. It doesn't have a sort of consistent um, moral code or whatever. Like, what do you say to people? Like myself, I had a police charge for possession of weed when I was like 22. What happens when they see that at the border now? And it's like, well, but it's legal now, though, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, I have a fucking drug dealer friend. He got all jammed up for selling pot or whatever. I mean, he had like a college degree. He's never had like gainful employment, and he's got all these like, he's got degrees and education or whatever, and he's never been able to get a job because he sold some pot, and now it's all legal. It's like what,
yeah.
like it was all for
But they'll
nothing.
keep the charge. They'll keep the charge because you
Oh
did
yeah,
it when it wasn't legal, right? Which doesn't even make sense. Like, it's either do laws exist because they're good, like these things are good and bad, or like you almost have to kind of go back in and update people's like records once you change the law, but they don't do that, of course. So it's like we're beholden to the law for its own sake, not because
I
it
got nailed for lane splitting like 3 4 years ago on a motorcycle. It's all legal
yeah,
now. It's legal in my state. You can lane split
yeah,
now.
and they
Like,
won't go in and expunge the
yeah,
charge.
now I got this bullshit thing on my driving record where I got to pay higher premiums for insurance, and meanwhile, you got guys fucking driving around, riding around like retards. And
What
they
one of
get,
the things, since you're on the topic of traffic violations, one of the things in China that I was most impressed with is that they don't really have any rules on the road. Um, there's no road pirates anywhere. You couldn't find a speed trap if you tried. Like, it doesn't exist. Cops don't give uh, infractions and tickets for petty infractions and things like this. This is why when they come to the West, we say Chinese are bad drivers. But the reality of it is that in the West, in Canada and America, the rules of the road have to be so specifically outlined because we have so much diversity, so many nons, so many, like, we can't just figure it out the way they do in China. In China, they don't really have like a formal set of rules for when you're supposed to signal. People just kind of use their intuition and their intelligence and just do things like according to reason, and it works, if that makes sense. Like, you take away all of the rules, so you would think it's anarchic. Like, you'd think it would be anarchy on the roads, but then out of that emerges kind of like second order rules, like uh, implicit rules rather than explicit ones. Like, once we have to make everything so explicit and
I heard you guys
bipolar.
talking about this, the laws and how they like justice system on one of these podcasts I was listening to, and it's all bullshit when it comes to like how it's applied. I mean, I drive through these small rural towns. They over police the fuck out of poor whitey, like poor white folks in these small towns. There's cops in every little small town just waiting to fucking get you. And then black people fucking cruising around in Minneapolis. They don't have registration. They got a cracked windshield. They're speeding. They're not wearing their seatbelt. They don't fucking get any. They don't fucking. They can do whatever they want. And fucking here, poor Whitey, some fucking podunk town can't. They're literally fucking ready to nail you for 5 over.
Here they would follow you around and wait until you, like, they would make you nervous. They'll tailgate you and whatnot. And then if you don't signal correctly or you don't stop before the white line at a red light or something like that, the sirens will go on and they'll just hit, like, inevitably they'll follow you until you commit some kind of minor infraction, and then they'll throw the cherries on. And meanwhile, there's like homeless people exposing themselves to children. You call the cops on them, they don't even show up. Or they show up and just move them along down the road, and they'll be doing it again 5 minutes later. Like, everybody has impunity except like the white middle class, working class.
Do you feel more at home being in Canada at all?
I do it, I don't. Uh, it was kind of bittersweet coming back because the weather's been perfect here since I've been home, and it is a beautiful country. Like, it's a very beautiful place, but the people are so ugly. They're so subhuman and stupid that it's all tainted. You can't, like, I tried to go to the beach earlier tonight, and everybody had a hijab on. I was at the playground. I was the only white guy there. All these oversized families, little girls with hijabs on, and it's like, I'm just sick of it, and I'm sick of white people finding all of these like different copes to try to work around the obvious in a way. Like, they'll kind of criticize it, but for all the wrong reasons, and it's cringe. You know what I mean? Those, oh, they're importing more voters for the left and shit like that. You know what I mean? I'm sort of sick of it all. I was doing much better mentally being in a homogenous society, even if it wasn't white, like, even if it wasn't my people. But just coming back here and going to Walmart or going to work, it's like, it just completely drained me of any um, incentive that I had to lift a finger.
Have you ever been stopped by the police, like a patrol stop from a non-white?
Yep. I was in Toronto a number. This is an interesting story. I was in Toronto a number of years ago. I was driving my girlfriend to work, and it was early. It was a Sunday morning, and I made a right-hand turn at a red light. And in the core of the city, they have all of these overly specific rules for when you're allowed to turn right at a red light. There's like a list, and you can see it displayed on the light pole, and you got to read it basically if you don't know it. It'll say like on Saturday and Sunday between like 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. you can turn right and all this shit. And so I made a right hand turn, and I got pulled over a few seconds later by a pretty attractive, like, Asian, I don't know if she was Chinese or something like that, girl. And she said, "You made a right hand turn where you shouldn't have." And I said, "No, it's, within such and such a time I'm allowed to have done that." And I was right, but I couldn't find my registration for some reason. And she was like waiting for me to present it. I don't know what to do here. I can't seem to find it for some reason, but you should have never pulled me over. So can you just let me go? And then we were both kind of at a loss of what to do. And I think she just ran my name basically and let me go, but it was so incompetent.
Dude,
Like she
everybody,
didn't.
all these
Yeah,
incels in the chat are like all pro weed and weed should be legal and weed's fine. I mean, weed's not going to help you get laid, bro, unless you're like a drug dealer. Like, I'm not, I mean, I get it. I get why you smoke weed. It makes sense. Like, your life sucks and you want to like enjoy, like, it's a good cope. You're going to jerk off, play your video game, smoke a
I
bunch of.
don't think it's a good cope unless you're like some kind of insentient NPC.
Weed is not going to help you get laid, bro. Guys, it's just not. I mean, if
Like
you're,
that Dashboard was talking about this like a few weeks ago. He said basically, or maybe a few months ago, he said you can't really enjoy weed if you have any knowledge of like what's going on in the world at all. You just go kind of schizo, like your mind will turn on itself. It's only for like basically NPCs who just play video games and they're like, dude, weed. If you know the kind of things that we do and you try to smoke weed to cope, you just go insane dwelling on like the Jays
I
and
already
all this other stuff.
I already hashed this out with Western Decline. Like we already explained all this. Like you don't if you think weed's good or not that bad, you're an idiot. Like weed's not gonna get you laid.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I smoked weed every day from like 15 years old into my early to mid 20s, but it got to a certain point where this late in the timeline, if you want to put it that way, I can't do it anymore. I don't want to be intoxicated when things are really bad. It's not escapism for me. Like my mind won't let me escape through intoxication. It makes it worse. I'm like, why is nobody doing anything about what's going on? Why are we all so cucked and pathetic? Like what's happening? I just go to a really dark place. I don't know, and a number of people have told me this too, who were daily weed users for years. They said one day, around the same time, 25, 26 years old, they just smoked it and they went schizo on it. And every time they tried after that, it was the same deal. Like they just dwell on like the political decline, the social decline. That's been my experience.
It
Every
seems
time I try to get
normalized.
drunk
Like
or
I get
smoke
it.
weed.
You're in college or a teenager or in high school or maybe even like in your 20s. But it's just like normal now. Like everyday American white boys in their late 30s, 40s are just big weed users every day. It's like, I mean, don't you get bored with it at a certain point? Like it's boring. Like you
Yeah,
don't,
Kato Bite says, I don't understand how people do weed. It just gives me panic attacks. For weed to feel good, you can't think at all. And I would concur with that. Like, I can't turn my thoughts off and just, I used to listen to music and do whatever on it. I'd walk around and think about the next time I'm going to smoke weed. I have too many worries and stresses in my life now and whatnot. It's almost dangerous for me to smoke weed. I get so paranoid and schizoed out, like it's just and it's so depraved. Every single corner in this whole city has like two or three weed stores on it. They have magic mushroom stores everywhere here now.
dude in the chat says, do you get bored with cigarettes? Like they're not comparable, bro, at all.
Yeah, I went back to smoking about 5 months ago. I had so much groin fatigue at work and my female coworker, she just left I was relieving her from her shift, and I went to go do something. I came back and she had left me a cigarette on the table, like some kind of temptress, like Eve in the garden. And I smoked it and I got all high off it. I hadn't had one in 8 or 9 years. And then I went to China and they smoke not men smoke nonstop all day, every day there. Women never smoke, but every man is a chain smoker. And um, during the month of New Year's celebrations, people will be giving you packs of cigarettes. Like you'll come home with 6 packs in your pocket.
Oh, fuck, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, they're dirt cheap. They're like the best premium brand, and they're good too. Like I think they're better than American cigs. They're like $5 Canadian, which would be like
How are the
less than.
cigarettes in China?
They're good, but most people smoke those skinny ones. Um, they do sell like normal ones, the thicker, like what you would be used to. And enough people do smoke those, but they're in the minority. But they burn really quick. They're very good, but they burn within like 3 or 4 minutes, and they have longer filters on them. Because I think most people smoke while they're drinking tea, like it's sort of they're accompanied, right? So they don't want to be sitting there with a cigarette for 10 minutes, like some like a spirit. You know what I mean? And so you get in the habit of chain smoking. Like every morning, I would wake up and have 3 of them in a row. And yeah, I don't know. I've been smoking really heavy. But I don't want to stop, to be honest. I don't really care about my health anymore. I don't.
My old neighbor lady, she lived to like 90. She smoked every day. Like this whole like I don't know. You're not gonna die because you had a cigarette. Like
You'll die. I would have died from the stress if I didn't go back to smoking. But I got back here and I wasn't able to use like dating apps obviously when I was out of the country. So I was junking to get back on there like a fiend, and I started sewer slide swiping again. And I had a
isn't
couple
that
of
demoralizing, Dismal? Being on like dating apps and
Oh,
swiping.
I got so demoralized over the past 2 weeks. I had like two IRL in person dates where I tried to just kind of dark doofy them, as Western Decline would say. And I just came on way too strong. I just tried like making out with them instantly because I didn't care enough about them to like even bother. If I couldn't just instantly make out with you, like I didn't care about if I got blocked or whatever, if that makes sense. So I went out with these two hags, like these old Filipinas, like just to try to basically objectify them, and I got shut down a few times, and I think my SMV on the site is lower, significantly lower than it was this time last year. I don't know, I don't look good. I'm fat, I'm bald, and I'm like I have no attention span to
Bro, after
date.
taking Dismal, after taking the black pill, it's kind of like I'm against looks maxing. Like I've got buddies of mine, they've like completely let themselves go. They don't shave anymore. They just like they're not like trying to appeal to a woman. Like why it's like you realize women don't really like men mostly. Like why are you trying to like trick them into liking you? Like just fucking just be yourself and just don't I don't know, self-improvement and like looks maxing clavicular stuff. Like I can't do it. Like I'm actually got I'd rather go the other way with it. Like grow like a weird mustache.
Dude, I took your advice on this. I remember you were streaming like 6 months ago or something. You said to just grow a handlebar mustache, even though chicks hate it, right? I got one right now. I took that advice. I got like a huge handlebar mustache. I don't even care.
Oh fuck!
Honestly,
I haven't
yeah,
shaved in like 2 weeks. It's great.
yeah. No, but it was nice, man, being in China, and they do look at you more admirably. Like, even though I am fat and whatnot, I was like shaving my face there because they don't like, Asian people don't like facial hair whatsoever because they can't grow it. They just think it like looks weird. And so I was, shaving, and because I had the incentive to, like, I was getting compliments from people on my eyes or whatever. But here it's just like, I don't know, man. Nobody gives a fuck about you. Like, you're invisible. Unless you have some kind of a violent dog with you, nobody's going to give you any positive affirmation or attention. Unless you have like some kind of pit bull, it's like a land shark with legs, and then they'll come up and want to talk to you. But yeah, I don't know. It just makes me sick being here. And now I work at the moment. I'm getting scheduled for like 12 hours a week. I got one shift on Thursday for 5 hours, and then I have another one on Sunday for like 4. Like, I'm getting like 9 to 12 hours a week. Even that seems too much to me. I feel overworked. Like,
Working less hours almost feels like working more because when you
yeah,
have to work, it's just it's so horrible.
I have like 3 or 4 days off consecutively, and all I think about is like, oh, I don't want to work that 4 hours on Thursday, even though it's only Monday. I'm so fucking lazy, dude. It's unbelievable. My ADHD is so paralyzing now. I almost just need to qualify for disability. Like,
Have you tried to apply for it?
I got on I got on Gibbs. It wasn't disability, but I got on like actual Gibbs meet ads about a year and a bit ago when I couldn't find work.
Does
And
it
I
help
ended up,
being a dad? Does it help being a dad for that?
well, I'll tell you, I got a big tax return this year. I get about 4 grand, which usually I get 700 or 800 bucks. I got 4 grand coming on a tax return this year. So, in that regard, it helps. But what ended up happening to me when I went for Gibbs was that they subjected me to a psychological evaluation, which you got to be really careful with. Like, they're asking you on from 1 to 5, 5 being the most. Have you ever thought about sewer slide? Would you say you're generally like? They were just they subjected me to like 20 or 30 questions of that nature, and then they ended up giving me a bit of money. I think I was getting 250 a week, but the nature of my job was that I didn't have a fixed schedule. I didn't have a fixed, like, one shift I might work 4 hours, then the next day I work 13, right? So they didn't know how much to give me. And they actually said they overpaid me, and I had to give them back $400. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to just give you all of that all at once. Like, you got to set me up on a bit of a payment plan. I'll give you like $50 a week or something like that. It was really annoying. So it kind of put me off wanting to get on Gibbs. So I don't know. Disability, I think I could qualify for it. I know Todd gets disability and doesn't work for autism or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's lucky. Man, why couldn't we all be that as lucky as him? I mean, imagine
You
you have
got to be
you have
careful
a
about
nice.
red flag stuff, though, man. Psychology, I've talked about this for years. Psychology's a weapon, man. Like, especially in the US where they can red flag you. They can say, they can basically take, I don't believe in freedom, obviously, but they can take your pretend freedom away if you've ever admitted to being like, having some kind
Depressed.
of psychological problem.
Yeah, I'm kind of
There's,
surprised. I see that. What's his face? off-grid prosperity. He's doing all these dabs on stream while he's loading his AR-15. It's like, are you fucking crazy, bro? Like that's probably a no-no. Or I don't know, maybe you can smoke weed and own guns now. I don't know.
Nothing makes sense anymore. You don't really know like what's permissible, what's not, or what's going to be tomorrow that isn't today. Like they could condemn you today and then tomorrow the same behaviors are legal and they're normal. There's no real semblance of like a consistent moral anymore in the West. It was so nice to be out of here. Like the moment I got back and I set foot in the airport, you could feel the tension. Like it was so overbearing and Orwellian. You got these white chicks like yelling at people. Where are you supposed to be? No, you're not supposed to be here. Go back over there. And it's like, oh my God, it's just this big intimidation racket here. Yeah, but it's
Oh, you guys banned Bash in my live chat? Really? I mean, I know you guys don't like Bash, but you can't be banning him just because he's an asshole. Like, I mean, I get it. You guys think he's like this evil doer in this space, but you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that, guys.
I have the least problem with Bash out of the big three. I think he's like the least problematic.
Gonzalo, the other one?
Gonzalo and Judas, they've formed kind of like a dark triad, and yeah, they're up to no good here.
Well, I mean, I know Western Decline doesn't want anything to do with the guy. Like that, that's fine. I don't blame people's. They have a. It's like Mr. Daggers. He gets like triggered and he flies, kind of flies off the handle and just rips MGTOW Cowboy. And I enjoy it. It's entertaining to listen to.
Yeah, it's funny as hell.
I'm not against. I'm willing to talk to MGTOW Cowboy. Like I don't think he's
I like MGTOW Cowboy.
I don't think he's
I
he's actually like decent to listen to sometimes. Like I get it. He's like way off base. But I would talk to Bash. I would talk to MGTOW Cowboy. I mean, hell, I'd probably even talk to Hollow Gonzalo, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I've heard he's got like a lot of weird shit going on in his personal life, but I mean, I don't even care. I mean, I'm willing to talk to people. Like, I get it. Like everyone, I hate this person. I want to. It's like you're trying to ostracize someone from a community full of people that have been ostracized. Like this kind of seems silly to me a little.
The reason I wouldn't talk to Bash isn't his views or whatever. I think he just doesn't engage with the substance of our arguments.
Fair. That's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I won't deny that or argue with you about that. But
If somebody ever brings up a substantive argument against a view that I have, like they want to debate whether it's what I'm saying is like logical or reasonable, I'll talk to them, no problem. I'll defend my positions against anybody that's like trying to argue against them in kind of like a substantive way. But I don't want to. You just kind of come in and be like, "Oh, you guys, you need to stop hating women, and then your problems will go away." And it's like you're not dealing with all the rigor and like the kind of rigorous analyses that like Dashboard and stuff put a lot of effort into putting forward. You know what I mean? You're not giving it like due respect.
yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah, I give people mod status because they're familiar faces, but don't just willy-nilly ban someone because you don't like them. Like let's be a little more charitable. And I understand. Even Miss Daggers said it in the chat. He's boring or uninteresting, and I won't argue with you about that either. I almost feel like I have nothing really left to say. That's why I took a break from streaming. a lot of things that we've talked about. I mean, we've spent hours and hours talking a lot about this stuff, and it's fine. Like I hear people want, they want me to host streams, and that's fine. I just kind of feel like I'd listened to Eschenfelter say he talked about fucking off, and I realized like maybe it is a good thing. Like just we're supposed to fuck off. Like you're not really influencing the world or changing the steering the changing the direction of the ship. I mean, we're just outcast people, or guys that are frustrated with society. So that kind of resonated with me when Eschenfelter said he's going to go fuck off. I just think that taking a break from streaming, like there's no real specific reason. I could have kept streaming, but as much as you guys are listening to this live stream, and even I was listening to Bash's last live stream with Hollow Gonzalo, and it was a kind of
Yeah,
a
I
it's kind of
caught like
a
5 minutes of it.
it's kind of a tame, lame, boring stream, but I like listening to like these micro streams and just you hear about the lore and all the personalities and different things going on in these spaces on Discord. And I don't know, it's more fun than like it's more entertaining than sports ball for me. And I love listening to podcasts or live streams. So it's like kind of nice to just be a listener for a while. Like I'm getting old now, and like even you're getting older, and Dashboard's getting older, and I'd like to see some of the younger guys like start YouTube channels. Hell, I'd probably listen to them and even want to like pop on and just engage with them or whatever. But
I've
I
been
almost,
trying for years, dude, to get a lot of people to step up and kind of take the reins because I don't feel like doing it. The only reason I even made any content was because I felt like no one had it right, really, and it was getting annoying to me. But I don't know. There's like a lack of talent. People can't really articulate what they're going through well, and there's so many people on Telegram that watch this stuff and they have really good insights, and but they don't want to produce anything. They just keep it to themselves, or they don't want to actually like step up and try to make a channel or
I mean, I understand the contempt for Judas. I mean, Bash, Hollow, whoever, Critters. Um, I get it, guys. Like, uh, I don't know. I'm not I'm not like a big supporter or a fan of these people necessarily, but I don't know. Like, you're not gonna get along with a lot of people in these spaces. Just how it's gonna be.
I think the one of the things Westerns talked a lot about, he pushes back on the idea that people with these little tiny cult following channels like you, they're nobodies. They don't have any influence. Nobody cares. But I think um, there's evidence to the contrary. I think that like one of your best virtues as a content creator is that I don't think that you cleanly, like, you don't necessarily have a narrative that you just push. You're sort of just assessing each situation in a vacuum, and so sometimes you might like disagree with the far right, or you might it's not like you're this caricature. And I
I'm not
mean,
trying to push a narrative. I'm generally trying to understand someone like a Bash or a MGTOW cowboy, and I get it. It would be like constantly reiterating and repeating and um, speaking to like a brick wall. But I'm not here to push narratives per se. Is more about like kind of understanding where people are coming from a little bit, and then kind of maybe argue with them and show, explain why I think they're wrong.
you've had people, and I don't really keep up with like the e-celebs, especially in the manosphere, but you've had guys pop into your live streams when you were really riding the momentum with Western, like big dogs, guys with huge channels. That one black guy in like the black manosphere, I forget his name. I remember him popping in, and
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of black. I talked to a lot of the black manosphere. I mean, I might be, a little more racism or whatever, and anti-Semitism, but also I don't mind talking to black people or Jews once in a while. It's not
I
like,
think import or importance is based more on fervor than it's based on numbers. I don't think, like, for example, somebody like Andrew Wilson, you could argue whether he's like a state prop or not, but he has huge followings, but they're not fervent the way that, like, the 40 people listening to Western Decline on Kick or whatever, right? Like, it's like a fervent audience. It's not a numbers game. This was always the problem with like white nationalists is they had this preconceived notion of needing to win like a numbers race rather than um, just accepting being like a very small minority, but trying to have a quality over quantity approach to it. And I think the elites, they do look at people like you, for example. You may have only like 150 live viewers on a stream, but it's like you're, not to sound cringe or whatever, but you've kind of cultivated something special where
well,
nobody.
I try
Yeah.
to do an open show and defend my ideas or my perspective, and like nobody can call in and refute really anything that I've said with the guests that I've had on here. That's why I do it. Like, come on, come at me, bro.
But you present a kind of level of nuance, but it's highbrow, and you're not like you're ready and willing to criticize any group. So you're not a dogmatist, and they kind of, I think they need dissidents to be dogmatic in one way or another, whether they're just overly fixated on misogyny to the point where they refuse to point out how pathetic men are, or they're overly fixated on like non-whites to the point where they can't point out how pathetic whites are in many regards. Like,
Well, as insignificant as I am, I really did since I took a little hiatus, sabbatical. I took a break, and I'm not saying I'm going to keep streaming like on a weekly basis, but I'll come back again in the coming days or weeks. But I really feel like I've unlocked all the achievements. Like I may not be anybody specifically. Like I'm not a well-known person or a big. I don't have like 500,000 subs, but I really did like I got to talk to all the people that I wanted to talk to. I mean, I got to talk to First from Incelmatics. I got to talk to Steve Hoka. I got to talk to Dashboard. I got to talk to Pat and Norvin and OV, and I got to talk to you, and there's a whole list of others that I got to I've already spoken with. So it's like I feel like I made it. I feel like I did what I was set off to do, and that was to like actually just have a conversation with YouTubers that I actually respect and think have interesting things to say.
I think, and I'm not trying to glaze. I mean, I would say this even if I didn't like you, but I think you and Western at a certain point, hit the stride, and I think some of the best content ever produced, came out of that, and there was so much of insight to be gleaned there that it's like it takes a while to even absorb it. Like, you may need a couple of years just to even reflect on the kind of analyses that were just there because they were coming out so fast, like week after week after week, just having on all these different people and knocking their arguments down and things like that, and
Why?
learning the different ways in which people are wrong.
That's why I really like talking with Western Decline because he could do a lot of the work for me. I mean, even the last 3, 4 streams I did with him, I was I don't want to say mailing it in, but I mean, he can just effortlessly do all the work for me, and it was a good kind of a good duo. I Western Decline, like I have no problem with that guy. Like I think he's a cool guy. I like Western Decline. I know people make fun of him because he's an incel or like he lives with his mom. Like, you don't, who the fuck are you? Like, Western Decline's awesome. And like, oh, he's a pedo. Like, that's retarded, dude. Like, if anybody's calling him like, oh, he caught a case, like, dude, you're a faggot, dude. Like, and he likes motorcycles. He's a motorcycle enthusiast. He likes Japanese sports cars. He's a smart, intelligent, knowledgeable person. Like, I just have nothing bad to say about the guy. I know that I would irritate him on the stream sometimes because I can't, I have my own little peccadillos, or we all do stupid stuff. And, you get tired of people. Like, I wouldn't even say it was like a breakup or like what is it? Like, I'm
A
not,
falling out.
wasn't like a falling out. It's just kind of like we hashed out. We had a good run, and they took my channel down a couple times. It's like I actually want to see people, rather than an Andrew Wilson be monetized and have a big following. I want to see people like Western Decline be able to be afforded that, to be able to, it's his intellectual property. He should have his own channel where he is getting, subscriptions and memberships, and have his own little grift. Like, he should be allowed to have that, and he's not, because he's, saying things. He's speaking truth to power, as they say.
Yeah, it does
You
become
you as
hard.
well. You shouldn't be on your fifth YouTube channel. That's bullshit.
Yeah, it does become harder and harder to justify at a certain point. People were, kind of saying dashboard on his last, few streams or whatever. He kind of seemed checked out too. He was drinking and just didn't have that kind of vital energy that he's so well known for. But yeah, again, it's really hard to keep going when you don't see anything materializing. And yet, the reason why I like of Dustin Clay, I think he's the most interesting person who's pumping out content at this point, is because, like Western Decline, you can't hate somebody that admits their lot in life. Like, how are you even going to make fun of them? He's revealed all of his shortcomings and, the desperation of his situation. Like, if you try to make fun of him, you're only going to be using things that he
I
already
feel
admitted of
I
himself.
feel
Like,
for Dustin Clay. I feel for Dustin Clay. I even feel for Raymond. People that are like on, showing their face and talking about their troubles in their life, and having some anon talking shit. Yeah, go talk shit to Dustin Clay's face. He'll punch you out. He'll punch you out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, it's just easy to just fling shit on a fucking live chat. Like, who the fuck are you? You're nobody. Like, Dustin Clay, like, he deserves a lot of admiration. I mean, he's putting himself out there, like, and it's all ridicule and just belittle and like being mean and insensitive. Like, you're a fucking faggot, dude. And I was hard on him too a little, but I'm not doing it in like a bad faith.
yeah, his character developed a lot. He for a long time he would take things really to heart. Someone would say something derogatory toward him in the comment, and it would be enough for him to basically want to shut his channel down. But I think he's gotten beyond a lot of that stuff, and he's documenting the life of somebody that's right at the frontier of excess maledom. Like, somebody, he could set himself on fire in the middle of town square and nobody would give a fuck. Like, he's genuinely alone in the world. And I think that on the flip side of the coin, I've taken the opposite path in life. I've bent the knee to an extremely tyrannical and oppressive woman in order that I didn't go homeless, essentially, because I'm such a man baby and I'm so incompetent in terms of being able to kind of navigate the social matrix that I'd have ended up like him had I not sacrificed all of my pride and dignity to live under the boot of a tyrannical woman who gives nothing back. And so I don't know which is worse. Like, this is why it's so interesting to me. It's almost like his channel, his life story is like uh, a revelation of an alternative reality that could have been my own, if that makes sense. It's like I could see how this could have been me.
Yeah, life's about society's about women and children. So by you kind of latching onto that, maybe that's a evolutionary pressure that you subscribe to. Am I sounding crazy? Or um, like sticking to that way of life is maybe gonna benefit you in a way that it going in a dust and clay direction is gonna hurt. That's not gonna be in the current year. Like, you're gonna have a tough time. Even though you might hate your life or have a lot of bullshit to deal with when it comes to having a family and struggling with like bills or whatever, or housing. I mean, life's just suffering. Like Pat was right. Like, at the end of the day, life is suffering, and you have to choose, pick your poison, I guess.
Yeah, I remember these words of um, somebody who I knew for some time on Telegram. His departing words to me. This was a guy who came from the Lux Maximus community, so he was kind of in like the Mog Maxer mindset type stuff, whore maxing and all of this. And there was a girl that came around as they always float into these kind of male centric spaces, and she said she was 16 and all of this, a real grifter, like a psychic vampire type. And this guy, despite all of his macho bravado, women are trash type stuff, he was hitting her up. This guy was in his late 30s, gesturing and clowning to her in private, like a pathetic gyno cuck, basically. And he got outed for it, and his aura just sort of died on impact. And he told me something before he left. He said that, Dismal, you were naturally meant to be like a TFL, or like a uh, isolated, atomized, sexless male. And you fought against it, almost like Donnie Darko, right? You kind of fought against your natural trajectory. But he said the gravitational pull is it for you to be in that lifestyle is too strong. Like, you're living a fake existence in a sense. I fought against my destiny, and I'm suffering the consequences of that every single day of my life. Is that I kind of violated fate in a way. I was meant to be
Pretty,
a
pretty great
recluse.
take.
I was meant, by all accounts, I was meant to be a recluse. I was meant to not have a relationship or a marriage or a family, but I forced the square peg through the round hole. I just stomped on it till it went through. But every day I'm reminded of his words to me. He's like, this was not your fate. You just kind of went against the grain, and look at the price you pay for it. And this is why I don't know Bash too well, but I don't think that his whole shtick would apply to me at all. Like, from what I know of it, it's kind of, this, you guys have problems with women, you have problems getting relationships, but that's not my my problem. The problem for me is what happens once I'm in the relationship, but I don't have any leverage to shape it to my liking whatsoever. I just get kind of thrown around like a piece of driftwood. And I don't subscribe to this idea that you can just kind of hack into a woman's psyche by holding frame or what. I think leverage comes from tangible things like being able to say, I own this house. I'm the sole breadwinner. You don't drive and I do. You rely on me for like these more material things. It's not just about commanding respect by having like a certain outward
Well, there are structures.
presentation.
There are structures in place that prevent that from ever happening, and that's how it's supposed to. That's why. I mean, that's just how it is. Like you
Yeah.
won't even if you had like $1,000,000 in your duffel bag in your pickup truck, like you ain't gonna have any more leverage than you have now. I mean, maybe a like slight amount of that leverage, but you're really kind of men are handicapped, and to not admit that men, all men in the West.
Yeah, the entire manosphere movement up until basically dashboards, like paradigm shift was just that. It was the idea that there's this thing called evolutionary psychology, and women, they've developed these certain dispositions where they go for certain kind of things, and you can feign them by outwardly presenting yourself in such and such a way. You can kind of hack into what they've evolved to desire or bend to, when the reality of it is closer to what the Marxists said, where it's like the culture, people's attitudes, whatnot. It's the material conditions kind of shape the way that people think and the relations that they form. I don't think I would have any of these views. I don't think I would have studied philosophy or anything like this had I not been cast out of the kingdom, left to be some kind of excess male, and then inquiring about how it happened. How the fuck did I get down here on the bottom with these scooter boomers and these fucking weirdos? Like, and then you start, through the understanding of that, you start actually getting educated, and I don't know, as all of my ideas are just the product of my plight from the dating market and the job market, things like that, rather than it just being about the way I come off, the way I choose to present myself to women or whatever. So I'm the one guy here that's saying, like, I'm in these relationships, I have them, and it's more black pilling than being TFL. Like, you guys don't even understand. Having problems with women is better than not having problems with them. I'm not saying I pull, cream of the crop. I certainly don't. But I do have the ability to get into long-term relationships. But then once I'm in them, I get exposed basically as not having any chips to bargain with, and then it becomes this unrelenting beat down to the point where you're basically, you gonna go jump off the roof because you can't tolerate the disrespect, but at the same time you don't have the you don't have the courage to leave because you know that of dust and clay awaits you. Like, what would I do if I were to file for a divorce, if I were to walk away? What would I even go and do? You know what I mean? My
Yeah.
my situation is so pathetic. I don't think I was really meant to be a pathetic person, but I was made pathetic. And yeah, I don't know.
I just really subscribe to Western Decline's take about not trying or not putting effort in or like quitting on the system or quitting on like do nothing. Doing nothing is better than acquiescing to the system. Like I'm sorry, like if you're in a relationship with some broke bitch, busted, female, I mean, just I mean, you're not trying to to me it's like the self-improvement that oh nobody cares about men like well I'm not gonna try to do all these things to get her to like me or care about me like if she doesn't care she doesn't care like why are we like I'm literally I subscribe to Dashboard. I subscribe to Western Decline in a sense that you're go the opposite of clavicular, literally the opposite.
Yeah, just kind of scuzmax.
Scuzzmax, don't participate, and you know, if something comes your way, then you realize that you have some value without having to like change who you are.
It's getting to the point too where I think that that's going to happen whether you like it or not. Even I talked about like simp fatigue in one of my streams, like where I see a lot of guys that are these unironic, like these really steadfast simps are even dropping out because it's almost like a slot machine where you can't get up and walk away because you've convinced yourself that the next pull is going to be a jackpot, and people are kind of sewer slide swiping on these apps, or they're doing all of this, and it gets to a point where you're just going to run out of quarters. And quarters in this example would be like your energy. You just actually exhaust yourself doing it. You're not getting any kind of returns. That the ADHD is so bad from chicks now.
No, unironically, just be yourself in the chat. Yes, just be yourself.
Let me see
That's
what's going on.
no, I mean that's literally it. Just be yourself. Like I hate to sound cringe and like, but no, literally just be yourself. Don't change any of your habits. Like that's why I respect my brother, my younger brother. He's a couple years younger than me. He's got his second kid on the way, and he's held frame in a sense that he doesn't give in to like his personal behavior at all. He's he's not a clean person at home. Like he just leaves his dirty underwear on the bathroom floor. His wife can clean it up. Like why are you like trying to do all these things and like do the dishes and mow the lawn and all this to be this like productive person just to get a crumb of puss? Like my brother doesn't do anything. He just does whatever he feels like at any given day.
The level. I'll get real with you right now. I'm gonna have a cigarette and I'll kind of open up
Oh
about it.
yeah, cigarette time. Fire it
I'm gonna
up.
I'm gonna have a Chinese cigarette and I'm going to regale you with some misery here. I'm gonna get real honest. Like even just tonight, I so yesterday I cooked some chicken in the air fryer and I put a kind of like a sauce on it, a glaze. It was pretty thick, and I only put it in after I had already put the chicken in the air fryer. I just kind of like you would on a barbecue. I applied it after. Apparently, this was like a huge, uh, unforgivable error as far as my wife is concerned. So I cooked this chicken in there, and when it was done, the air fryer, it was all gummy. It was really gummy. And I was like, I don't really know how to clean this. Like, what do? I don't want to flush this all down the drain and clog the shit up. And my mother volunteered. She said, oh, just leave it there. I'll take care of it. And so she soaked it in the sink, but she left it for more than 24 hours. It was still sitting there. So my wife, immediately starts ripping into me about this. Don't fucking put the sauce on like this. And you didn't clean this. And I needed the sink. And my mother just sat right there and didn't even defend me whatsoever. Even though
Really?
she didn't defend me whatsoever, even though I would have cleaned it, absolutely, because I knew I would get bitched at like that. But my mother said, "Don't worry about it. Leave it there. I'll take care of it." And she either forgot or she got lazy. But I took the fall for this. I got chewed out in front of my parents, and I didn't even blame her. But she just kind of she didn't speak up. They don't defend me, and they sit because we all live together. They sit idly by and watch me get abused to the point where I'm not too proud to admit it. Like, I'll go cry in my bedroom because I've been enduring this daily for fucking over half a decade. I'm fucking broken. Like, I will go and cry about this shit because my stress is just, it's so bad, right? And I have so much resentment for everybody in my life. My parents don't defend me. They'll watch me get unfairly beaten down and lambasted and disrespected daily like this. And, I've asked them before, like, why don't you guys defend me when you know I'm in the right? They didn't defend me when my alcoholic brother dragged me across the fucking country with false promises about, a better future, and then just got drunk every day and blamed me for shit that I fucking did, 15 years ago. They stayed neutral on that too. And you guys are so fucking meek and pathetic. You never speak up. You never stand up for the truth or for right and wrong. You just sit on the fence and you think that by doing so you're not going to offend anybody. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's unbelievable, man, how pathetic uh,
Well, I'll
excess
tell you right
decisions are
now,
made.
Dismal, and so for me, it's I just don't have. When it comes to women with their complaining about their husbands and boyfriends, I just have no care, zero. Like, you chose the man you chose, lie in your bed, and just that's just the way it's going to be. Like, you this idea that I reject this the word ambition. Like, I'm looking for a guy or a man with ambition. Like, you chose the guy you chose. Just that's the way it is. I have no empathy, sympathy, or what. I have no care for what women say or complain about when they talk about their husbands or boyfriends.
Hmm.
Like, you I thought you loved him.
Yeah.
Like, relationships and life has like ebbs and flows, and it's not always the same. Sometimes you're in a fucking dark spot and you got mentally things going on at work or family issues or illnesses or whatever it is. Like, you have to just ride it out, ride or die, bitch.
Yeah, at this point I'm kind of like ready for an early grave. I don't say that to be edgy. I'm sort of, there's a couple more things about like my own philosophy that I sort of want to get to the bottom of, just so I can like almost just sort of reconcile my views before I die, if that
Dismal.
makes sense.
Can
But
I interrupt you?
yeah, please.
Here's the thing, man. It's that I'm sick and tired of this whole, like, you need to like be a provider and live a long life and do all the duties and all this bullshit. I ain't doing any of that. In fact, I think dying early is a good thing. I think Mr. Perfect lived a great life, and
Yeah.
everyone talks shit about Mr. Perfect for leaving his three children behind and his wife. And you got that other guy. What's that guy who played in The Godfather, the Fredo?
Yeah.
He died at like 41 years old. He played in five of the best movies of all time, and he had Meryl Streep taking care of him right before he died of lung cancer at 41. To me, Fredo and Mr. Perfect lived a better life than any fucking boomer I've ever seen in my life.
Dragging out your life, I think, is one of the most pathetic things. It's very boomer coded, and that's kind of been one of the big things I preach about on my own channel and the content that I make. Like Nietzsche said, right? You should die proudly when it's not possible to live proudly anymore. And most people that I see have far exceeded their ability to live a dignifiable or proud life. And this is why I respect Dustin Clay so much, probably maybe as much or more than anybody here, because he admits all of this. And he says, I'm scared to sewer slide at this point. I don't have any reason why I don't. I don't have any rational basis for not doing it, but I'm just scared. I'm a biological creature. The will to live is really strong, and but when somebody is open and honest and it just kind of admits um, the truth about themselves, it's like I said, it's impossible to hate them. It's impossible to hate WD. He's been so honest and transparent about um, exactly who he is. He's extremely intelligent, but he's not the most intelligent in the world. He doesn't overestimate it, but
Well,
he
his
doesn't.
perspective, perspective also adds to it. I mean, that's the plight of
Yeah.
that's the plight of the average male. I mean, maybe he's just a little extreme. If you, I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's like, I agree with kind of picking your time to depart or going out young. And, somebody, this guy, I just want to address a comment in the
Yeah, go ahead.
chat because Green Frog Good said, where was it? He essentially said, why do you need your parents to weigh in on your dispute here? Just fucking like deal with it or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but the reason for it is because, especially in the case of my brother and our falling out, they could have probably mediated that dispute. And they had the leverage to do so because even though he lives alone and is largely independent from them, he's still relying on them in many ways. And sometimes people get into these gridlock um, blood feuds where neither party can reconcile it on their own. And if a third party comes in and they go about it right, sometimes they can bring peace. I doubt they would have been able to in the case of my wife. She's too immature, she's too domineering, she's too disrespectful. But with my brother, I'm almost certain that they could have stepped in and without taking too firm a stance, and you know keeping the air of like being unbiased, but they could have ironed that out. They didn't because they were fucking cowards and they say, well, I don't want to get involved. And then what? He's going to stop calling us? He won't want to talk like this, right? And because of that, I will never speak to him ever again in this life or the next. And it's a fucking shame because he has the same plight as me and the guys here. He's a TFLer, zero SMV, just getting shafted from the economy, all these things, right? And it's a shame that we have to fall out in such a kind of irreconcilable way. But my parents, because they're boomers, they'll never introspect and self-reflect and say maybe we could have done something. They'll always feel like their course of action was the only one they could have taken. It was the correct one. They stand by it. They'll never second guess it.
Are you older than your brother?
He's 3 years older than me.
See, that's part of it. You're the fucking little runt kid. You're not the oldest. The oldest always gets better treatment,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well,
One of,
maybe that's not the case for Western Decline, though. I think his brother's younger than him. I don't know what's going on with that situation because it seems like he's being unfairly treated. And, I hated that shit growing up. Like my grandmother always treated my dad great and my uncle like shit. And then my mom always reminded my father about how, to be fair to, it's like overcompensation. Like my brother was like my younger brother was getting more attention or being more looked after because he didn't want to favor the oldest type. It was like a overcompensation type thing going on. I almost resent it, you know.
I think in Western's case, it's sort of a competency bias where he's being punished because he's the only one in his family that, for whatever reason, didn't turn out to be some kind of like unreasonable, narcissistic, like just childish person. He's the only one with any sensibilities, and so in a sense, they just kind of parasite off of like his responsibility, and he has kind of like a white man burden within his own family type deal.
Yeah, yeah. Green Frog is in the chat again, talking about how the cleaning of the pan sounding very trivial, and you know, guys. I know you've never had your pee pee touched. I get it. You're an incel virgin or whatever. But a lot of my friends, I call my buddy that I've known my whole life since I was a 5-year-old, and he's got to like step outside or find a hiding place to have a conversation with me over the phone. And
Yeah,
his wife, he's married, doesn't want his wife knowing that he's talking to Thomas. And I had
yeah,
another friend I called. I hadn't talked to him in like 8 years. He moved to Florida, got married to a Venezuelan girl, single mom, big tit, broad. He is living in total turmoil. I mean, it's like he can't even. He's living in a one-bedroom apartment with a single mom, and she's like monitoring his drinking and smoking, and he can't even have a conversation with Thomas over the phone without. I mean, he has to hide in the bathroom. It's like he's whispering while I'm trying to have a fucking phone call.
dude. You know why
This is
do you
where
know
men
why
are.
after
This is average men in America.
you sent me the StreamYard link to join this chat, and you know why I told you 10 minutes
Oh, I
is
don't know.
because
Just hop in the pickup truck, take a drive.
yeah, no, that's I had to drive, over here to a parking lot, and I do better thinking in my car anyway, and I kind of like to people watch as I do these things, but nevertheless, I have to get far away just in order to talk to Thomas, or and you could say the pan thing sounds trivial, and I don't think you're like needling me or anything. I think you're genuinely criticizing in good faith, but all of our interactions are trivial. All human interactions, all marital interactions are ultimately trivial. Like none of these things really matter. It's more about just the level of resentment that's welled up over the years, and the kind of the disrespect that it's like manifested in. Nothing, none of these fights are ever important. You could always look back in retrospect and be like, damn, that was some trivial ass shit that we had that huge blow up over. But it's not really about the thing in itself. It's more about like the way it was handled. And I have a friend that I'm pretty close to, and he lives. His dad kind of gave him the boomer treatment where he was out at 18 or 19, and then his dad was a wife guy, and he moved to a different state with like a stepmom, and the guy won't even return his phone calls anymore. Like on Father's Day, he tried to call him, and the reality is people are their dopamine baseline has been set so high that they can't even get any enjoyment out of talking with their family members anymore. And sometimes it's kind of like I told them, like, your dad clearly doesn't want to talk to you, but I think he want to talk to you. Like he wishes he enjoyed talking to you, but the reality is you're fucking boring to him, and he's fucking boring to you. My coworkers are boring to me. My fucking parents are boring to me. I barely called them in 4 months when I was away. when I did call her, the conversation would fizzle after 7 minutes. We'd be talking about the cat. Well, how's the cat doing? Like, the reality that we just can't um, face up to is that we don't really find talking to our family members interesting. I'd rather talk to Thomas. I'd rather talk to Night Monkey. That's the truth of it. It's not what I want. It's not what I want to want. It's what I actually want.
I agree. I prefer the Discord, Telegram, internet spaces more than real life, and that's just unfortunate. Right? We can't, have this a level of camaraderie or level of agreement or just level of understanding with people that you spend in your real life with. It's very frustrating. I can't. I know that. I mean, to people in the chat, they must really get annoyed with their parents or their brother or the people that they work with at at the Subway or the Taco Bell or wherever they work.
The one thing that I agree with Stefan Molyneux about was, and people called him a cult leader for saying this, but he said, if you don't at the very least have some kind of overlapping ethics or morality with the people in your family or the people in your life, you have to cut them out, because it's like, it's hard to articulate this point. I never quite do it adequately, but you can overlook a lot of things with people. Maybe they're fat. Maybe my parents are fat fucks, because they are, and it's getting worse. The Ozempic's not taking. But I can overlook that, right? I can look beyond that. But if they don't have the same ethics as you, like, they would rather bankrupt the healthcare system and reduce us back to cavemen rather than telling, like, some fat fuck that he can't get a liver transplant because he didn't take care of himself. Things like that, right? We don't have the same ethics. We don't even have the same general conception of what a good outcome would look like, or a good society or a good life would look like. There's nothing in that relationship to be saved. And now the only reason I'm still in it is because, due to the economy, I've been made an involuntary parasite. I have to live with them. I can't afford not to.
I halfway. I don't totally agree with that. Like in a sense that agree to disagree. Like that's your mom and dad, man. Like figure it out. Like work it out. Like I mean, you don't have to hang out with them every day, but that's your mother and your father, and agree to disagree, or just leave topics off the table, and talk about things of common interest, and I get it. You don't want anything to do with people that are completely antithetical to like your lifestyle or way of thinking, but
Your ethics, mostly.
yeah.
Like, what you value as the good or the bad. If somebody, and I've explained this because I understand that, like, my ethics or your ethics, they're not necessarily intuitive, like, because they're not the ones we were raised with. But when you try to explain, like, you sit them down and you say, look, I'm not a bad guy for being like a Nazi. This is why I think I came around to this. I'm not trying to be like this bad guy or whatever. Or you tell them about, like, resource scarcity, and you say, if we just keep allowing anybody and everybody to access medical resources, they're going to take advantage. They're going to abuse it. Not everybody pays in equally, and, like, you say these things in a very level-headed way, and at the end of that conversation they say, I just don't agree. But they don't really provide, like, a real logical counter argument. They sort of just say, I don't like it. That's not the way I see it, and I don't want to talk about this any further. um I don't know how you could continue that relationship? Like, what is it based on from thence forward? What exactly is kind of holding it together? It can't be merely just like genes and genetic material alone, because that's
Well,
I
for
don't know
me,
if that's
I chalk
sufficient.
it up to history. Like you have a history with these people. Like even your brother, maybe at one day you guys can like bury the hatchet. I'm not trying to tell you that's what you should do. I'm just,
No, I get it.
but you have history and things change, and it's nothing stays the same. And I just think that things are kind of more fluid and less stringent, or.
Yeah, too many variables to predict, but
Here's a
this,
question I have for you.
yeah.
Does your parents chip in with daycare? And does your wife want your parents in your life and in her life?
My parents have been very supportive financially, which I'm grateful for. They've never charged me a dollar for rent. I eat their food a lot. They they basically bought me a car, but I didn't want them to buy me a car. I wanted to share my mother's, because she's a retiree and she doesn't use it, and I wouldn't need to drive often or far. And they would have rather basically bought me a car than share, which is very kind of boom. So situations like that, it's like I don't know how to look at that necessarily, but emotionally they were very subversive with this
What, strings attached?
kindness.
Strings attached, or
No strings attached. No strings attached. But the problem is that my parents almost were like, it's hard to explain this without coming across as very ungrateful and entitled, but rather than having very strict parents, mine were so laissez faire that I could cut my dick off and dress like a woman, and they would probably be like, "Well, if it makes you happy and you're not bugging anyone, like it's to the point where there was no standards whatsoever for what they expected of me or anything like that. That it almost becomes like traumatizing in a different way. And yeah, we're fortunate that we've been able to rely on them. But one of the things they
but
would do,
but how is your wife taking this? Like, does she want to show up together with you at her? Will she show up at Father's Day for your father, or is it you going over to her dad's house, kind of thing?
oh yeah, no, they have a good relationship. It's very surface level, and I think because of the sort of cultural barrier and the language barrier,
See,
uh,
that's
a-
my Dismal. That's kind of my problem with my experience with relationships with women, is that you're expected to participate on her side of the family, and but it's not equal for her to do the
yeah,
same.
no, absolutely,
And that's what
especially.
frustrates me the most about relationships in America, that it's one sided and that the man has to participate and show up and be a part of her family, but you're not. It isn't equal. Like you're not. We don't expect that from the wife or the girlfriend, and I think it's annoying to say the least.
And one of the things too that I've been very honest about this, especially is the case with all non-whites. They are always 100% of the time going to prioritize their shitty exploitative family, meaning their siblings and their parents, over you. It doesn't matter if you've got invested a decade into the relationship. You can never overcome their loyalty to their family, no matter how fucked up and out of line their family is. It'll always be that way. It's exclusively whites where the man will like after a certain point he'll kind of prioritize his own family, meaning his wife and his child, over the parents and his siblings. That's
Yeah.
exclusive to white people.
And you know what? It's just the
It's
the
so
people
brutal too
people
because
I think
you
this
just
is a telling
sorry.
I think this is a telling, very telling, because I think that a lot of people in the live chat and the people that spend time in these black pill spaces, I really think, and I hate to sound cringe, it really boils down to like you don't have a good relationship with your mother, and you don't have good parents. You don't have a good mom and dad or a good family. Like, I think that the people that find themselves in this space don't have a strong relationship or family that isn't chaotic in a fucking shit show. And that's why people are in these spaces. That's why white people are in the black pill space, specifically white guys, or well, even blacks, but or all men. But I really think that's part of it. Like, it's you have a shitty family, and that's why you're in the black pill space. If you had a rock solid family and a patriarchal, like a strong father figure and a mother that was in your life, that's what's going on like in the black pill space. Like all these black pillars, they don't talk to their mom, or their family sucks, and that's why they're here. I mean, I think that's downplayed.
One of the big problems though is it's so hard to explain this, but white families, they almost a lot of them, if they're anything like mine, they took acceptance to be like good parenting, meaning like unwavering acceptance of like who their kids turn out to be. I'll give you an example. So I listened to Howard Stern a lot when I was younger. I
Oh, I did
found it.
too. I loved radio all my life,
Yeah.
Dismal. I've listened to everybody. And that's why I listened to Western Decline and Hell by the Dashboard Light, because I'm fucking bored. We need some fucking talent, some interesting things. I want to hear interesting things, and I'm not going to hear that on TV or radio anymore. But I've kind of like went through it all, and yeah, Howard Stern was
I
actually,
listened to it all.
yeah,
And one of the stories that he told, it sticks with me like 15 years later. I still remember. He said he was young, and he's obviously Jewish, so they have like tiger parenting strategy, like despotic parenting. And he said that you when you're young, you just naturally want to run around, you get exercise just by like playing on the park. There's a certain point you get older, maybe 9, 10, 11, where you become more sedentary. You just kind of want to sit around and play video games, whatever, right? Watch TV. And he said he started getting fat at a certain point. And one day he came home from school, and his parents were sat in the living room waiting for him, like an intervention. And they said, come in here and sit down. And so he did. And they basically they put it to him straight away. They said, Howard, you're fat. It looks awful. It's embarrassing to us. You're going to lose the weight, or you're not living here anymore. You can live with a relative, or you can basically fuck off. Like, you're not being fat. It's pathetic. And he said it was the best thing that his parents ever did for him. At the time, it like hurt his feelings or whatever.
his
Now
parents
I,
were enabling and not enabling.
but now I contrast this with my mother, who I was a fat kid. I was a little, roly poly kid, and she would never admit it. I would say, Mom, I'm fat. Like, I'm clearly fat. I have like little belly rolls. So you're not fat. You're not fat, like this, right? And I knew she was like lying, and I found it came from like good virtue. That's what we'd say. Oh, I'm never gonna admit my kid's fat. That's not good to do.
Low and Hib, you're just wrong, man. Like, black pill back shots. I mean, oh, oh yeah, my parenthood. It's a hard take. Yeah, yeah. What if you had a strong wealth, you came from a wealthy family and nepotism, you'd have like some great job and career you didn't even have to work for. You wouldn't even be in these spaces.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have your views. Like,
You wouldn't have the views you have because you have a dynasty you're living
I
under.
would have I would have never heard of Nietzsche I would have went right to the grave without ever heard the name Nietzsche. Like, I would have just cruised through life for sure. I wouldn't have needed to know, like, oh, what is nihilism? Oh man, morality's fake. It's just a human construct. Like, I would have never needed to even ponder such a thing. You know what I mean? You would have just, you would have been on the up and up, and you would have moved from having friends in high
Yeah,
school and
everyone's bitching about nepo babies. The hell, I wish I was a nepo baby.
yeah, I was saying before to even nepotism, it's like kind of worn thin. My uncle last year, he was trying to get me a job, and he's retired, but he worked for like 40 years for the city in wastewater treatment, and he thought he was some big hot shot. He's like, "Oh, let me stick my neck out. Like I'm gonna get you tell him whose nephew you are." And he couldn't even get me like a basic bitch like entry fucking grug job, just doing like nothing. And it was kind of embarrassing. Like I felt embarrassed for him.
I mean,
It's cringe, man. It's so cringe.
I
Like,
get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, like with the Fortune 500 discriminating against, working class white men, the government jobs going all to the, all, going to the blacks. I mean, a lot of the white people that are gonna try to, ascend or stay in, stay afloat, they're they're attaching themselves to nepotism. They're attaching themselves to people they know and
yeah,
people that can help them. You're kind of on your own as a middle rung white guy. So to have, an uncle that can get you a job, and it sounds like it's ineffectual. It sounds like that's even kind of going to the wayside. They
it's
can't even.
done. Yeah, it's done. He was telling me like, "Oh, what do you mean they didn't get back to you? Like, did you talk to Chris?" And then it's like, dude, that guy's just another boomer like you with no strings to pull. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but your conception of like the good old days where you could just use your namesake and pull your nephew up, like that's done, man. I'm so like I was embarrassed for him to the point where I had to basically make up a lie that I was like pursuing something else so that he would just drop it because he would keep trying to. They still haven't got back to you. Oh, might need to make some phone calls, and I'm like, dude, this is. I'm embarrassed, frankly. I'm not butthurt that you're not able to do this. I'm embarrassed that you think that you could and you can't.
Dismal, let's shift gears a little. Um, I I wanted to ask you about some alleged incel shooter event that I did.
Oh yeah,
Well, wait, I have no knowledge of. I haven't even read a skimmed an article about it, and I figure we'll take a few calls too.
yeah.
But
Let's do it.
let's. I want you to just kind of give me the rundown, and we'll just briefly discuss it and move on. Go ahead.
So I guess the guy, and again, I didn't read anything. I just got the gist of it, mostly from JF. But it was in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I think he tried to shoot up a Pornhub headquarter or something like that. And he left a manifesto behind where he went into the woman
Wait. There's a
question.
Pornhub headquarters. Where's this?
Apparently, I didn't know this. Apparently, which makes sense that it would be in Quebec because Quebec is just like like a hotbed of just like depravity, right?
Yeah.
But apparently there's a Pornhub headquarters there, and he tried to like shoot it up like Travis Bickle, and I don't know what happened. He slid into the sewer, and some female cop accidentally shot a rabbi and killed him. I don't know. I don't fucking know, right? But he left a manifesto, and apparently he was a Marxist, but he went into the woman question. But he was bringing up hypergamy a lot. Like he still had this kind of like pre-dashboardian, which I
It
can't
sounds like
even.
a psyop already.
Well, you know why I think it might be is because the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, the guy who replaced Trudeau, he's pushing these bills now where basically like they don't even want you on the internet unless you're looking at cat videos at this point. Like they want to make you have to honestly they don't want you like really to be on the internet anymore. Um it's all scrub, man. It's all dead internet. I found this old cell phone that I had from like 3 years ago, and I charged it up and I went into it, and I was going through the tabs, the bookmark websites that I had in the internet browser. I'd say 75% of them were deactivated. They just were dead. Like the whole internet, whether these were news articles or porn videos, like whatever they happened to be, they weren't there anymore. So unless you're literally archiving stuff at this point, it's all been scrubbed. It doesn't exist anymore. They don't want you to be able to access anything without face fagging and all of this. Like I was telling you before, it's not even enough that you have your username and password to log into like YouTube or Facebook anymore. You have to verify with a phone call. And it means like if you've changed numbers or anything
You know
like
what the
that.
biggest lie ever was? The internet's forever.
Yeah.
Because you going back and try to find in old archives of old interviews and conversations with edgy people, these people don't exist.
No. No, that's a good take. Yeah, the internet's not forever. They got rid of it, and there's a good chance that some obscure news
You ever
articles
heard of
like
Jim Giles, Dismal?
yes,
Jim Giles from like fucking, where was he from? Mississippi. Jim Giles from
that's
Mississippi.
a
He
throwback.
that fucker interviewed like Mark Potok from like the SPLC or ADL or whatever.
Yeah,
Like he interviewed everybody. You cannot find him on the internet. It's
he's
all
gone.
scrubbed. It's
Yeah,
all scrubbed.
it's yeah. And say I read some article in like 2023, which forever for whatever reason it had some kind of like special interest to me. There's a good chance no one on earth ever archived it. Like, why would they? It was just sort of like had some kind of particular insight to me, and I saved it, but I didn't archive it. Now the link is dead, and it's literally gone. Like the internet, you're right. Yeah, it's not forever. They can just get rid of all of it, and they have effectively done that. And now they're
Well, I'm
trying to
sorry.
make it.
Did somebody die in this shooting that was happening?
I don't know the death count, or all I know is that I guess a female cop let loose on the trigger, and she shot a rabbi dead. She shot like a rabbi and a Muslim or something like that, and they died. But yeah, the guy was like he was a hypergamy theorist, and I can't even converse with people that still have that like classical manosphere framework. If you're not like a demographics theorist, then I just don't.
Yeah, hypergamy and evo psych and some of these
So
topics, they're
stupid.
so fucking off the fucking mark. It's crazy.
But the people that push it, they have this complete unwillingness to second guess it or to hear opposition to it because they think that they've found something. Like they think that they're in possession of this like secret knowledge that sets them above normies. So when you try to tell them like, nah, hypergamy is it's nonsense, they won't hear of it. They already think that they've like gotten to the end of truth with the woman question. And when you tell them like, nah, you got to jettison your whole worldview. It's not even salvageable. You have to actually start over again with a better framework, with a better foundation or first principle. They won't hear of it. They're embarrassed because they've
That's
been
a
pushing
strong
it.
man. That's a straw man, Bucko. We never said anything about looks and hypergamy, Bucko. Don't straw man us now.
Let me hear. Um. Well, hypergamy isn't about looks. The thing with hypergamy is that it almost becomes incoherent because it's simply defined as the best in a very loose sense. Like that could be financial, it could be looks, it could be like the best is sort of just like this variable placeholder for whatever you want to insert to like save your theory. It's kind of ad hoc. Like you can always say, well, he was the best. He wasn't the best looking, but he had more power, or she liked him because he didn't have power, and that gives her leverage to wear the pants. Whatever, right? It's just like it's one of these theories that's not really scientific because it's not quantifiable, whereas the demographics theory is like it. Dashboard kind of provided like a foundation from which we can actually like study numbers and make it scientific.
All right, let's take some calls. We're gonna take some calls. Mr. Daggers, you were live on the Thomas White Show. How are you doing?
Doing good now that I'm here. Does my mic sound like shit?
No, you're good.
You're fine.
All right. And I guess I'll talking about the shooter. I was talking with Eschenfelder. I told him like it's very convenient to like paint all men under one brush, since like MGTOW and the red pill and stuff is expanding into India and becoming fucking insane. So it's acting like we're all in the same struggle. We're all just men. We're not like Americans or Caucasians, or we're all just men together. It's like a globo homo belief system.
Yeah, one of the big things that I've tried to kind of push in this sphere, and I've caught a lot of flack for it, is trying to sort of separate the wheat from the chaff amongst the kind of dejected males, because people like, and I'm not going to hold myself in like too high regard, but I think people like you and me and Thomas, we're not subhumans, whereas some of the people in this sphere are. Like they almost kind of deserve to be getting the shafting that they are, because they were just born of like boomer reproductive carelessness, and how like women and the Jays, they lobbied to abolish eugenics, and then out pops like Hollow Gonzalo, right? And then he's like, oh, we're all the same. Me and Thomas are the same. We both have trouble with women. It's like, you're not the same. Same predicament, very different reasoning.
Someone in the chat says Dags is a good caller. I think Dags is better than a good caller. He's a great streamer, and he's smashing capitalism day by day. I mean, I really enjoy your streams, Daggers.
I'm expanding out of capitalism. I'm happy to get the pushback. Like you fixate on the profit motivation too much. So last stream I did, I was bashing liberalism. Like my fucking 400-page manifesto, I ended up like, when you have to connect all these dots explaining why things are happening in society, inevitably I get to like the liberal, progressive, leftist question, the ruling elites and all that, where it's like not about profit anymore.
How do I say this? It's okay. Like I love it. I love the critique, the criticism, the just wailing on capitalism for hours on streams. Like that's awesome stuff. Like I love it because no one does it. But I heard you and Western Decline kind of have a little bit of a debate about it, slight debate about it, and you guys are kind of both half right. It's I just think there's more nuance to it. That money is a problem, and money is a motivator, but at the end of the day, like at the very highest level of the highest, the people at the very top, it muddies the water for people to understand. So it's great that you're even discussing it and trying to break it down and talk to smart guys about the topic.
I feel like my discussion with Western Decline, I felt like it was kind of splitting hairs because he was explaining to me that like, it's not about money because like money is power. It's about power. And it's like, yeah, I agree with you. Like I have never said that there's not like this ruling elite that just shits out money, just takes it from the government or controls like the controlled dialectic between Republican and Democrat where they decide, who gets to be a candidate. I agree with that.
Well, at the end of the day, daggers, at the end of the day, Americans worship capitalism, and we need some clapback. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
Damn it. Yeah, well, it is something that doesn't get talked about much. If you're an American, then capital is enemy number one. Like, I know that there's like this top elite class where money doesn't matter, but most people and most systems and most like fucking over that's happening in society is profit motivated. It's just like it's an individualist, liberal, egalitarian society where like people don't care about society. Everybody's just trying to scam each other. So that's why like nothing can get done. That's why liberalism devolves into this fucking dystopian, expensive police state where nothing gets better.
For sure. Dismal, did you want to just touch on anything to say about capitalism real quick? We're gonna add another call and see what he has to say.
Yeah, I like a lot of the critiques of guys like Mark Fisher, and even though they were leftists, like they were almost borderline Marxists, but they have. I kind of like Marxian critiques of capitalism. I think once they go to actually start like building their own worldview, it sort of turns into dog shit. But I think their critiques are very sound and very good.
Yeah, like I'm not a Marxist, obviously. I believe there should be a hierarchy. I think that's where everything's gone wrong, is that there isn't a good hierarchy, and we would still use money. We could incorporate with corporations, like how China has the National Congress that has veto power over the corporations. I think that's good. It's not innately bad. Marxist and communist analysis of capitalism is usually dead on. Like it's good at attacking capitalism, and I feel like Marxism is good as like a teleology in order to give like the anti-capitalist, like the worker proletariat side, more of like a purpose, more of a destination where it gives more wind behind your sails in resisting like the status quo. Like even if communism never happens, it's like if the capitalists don't stop us, we're just going to keep going and going until everybody like equally owns things and there's no private property, which that doesn't need to happen. Like the dialectic is that this teleology helps them contend with like the capitalist order. I think that's the real merit of it. I don't really agree with like abolishing class and shit.
I don't even care. To me, I'm just a racist. I mean, honestly, I don't care what society I live in. If you have a horrible, genetic makeup of a country, you're not going to have a nice country. America is just falling off a cliff. Every major city's overrun with the non-white world. I mean, we live in a fucking hellscape, and I don't give a fuck about Marxism or capitalism or socialism. The genetic pool has just been totally poisoned, and that's why this country sucks. I'm gonna just add a call quick. We're gonna see what they have to say.
Oh.
Brent Wool, you were live on the Thomas White Show. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
All right, I've listened to you before, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything or I just want you to ask a couple questions or bring in, give us a hot take, and I'm going to kick you. Go ahead.
I just think it's odd that how he chose a Pornhub place to do a shooting of all things. It's something where a lot of men watch Pornhub. It's primarily a man thing. I am baffled as to why he would do it somewhere where more men like him, incels who are here.
Why would a gooner attack the capital of Gooner or the capital?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I'd
It
love
makes no sense.
to weigh in on this.
All right, Dismal, go ahead and weigh in.
There's a kind of a tension, I think, between what you indulge in and what you think you ought to be indulging in. Like, I consume this stuff, I'll admit, right? I consume it. But the brain damage that it causes, what it does to you is so damaging. It causes irreparable damage to the brain when you consume this for long periods of time. And it's like, do I consume soda? I do, right? Nowadays I do, but I shouldn't be allowed to. I don't think that I should be responsible for my own decisions in an absolute sense. Like, I do think most people, if they're being honest, should admit that they don't have the complete discipline or mastery over self. I wouldn't mind one bit if soda was taken off the market, even though I may resist it from my own kind of degenerate, like, no, I want it.
I consume caffeinated beverages on the daily, and I try to limit my amount of intake. But by caffeine, I love caffeine, and I never get headaches. But yeah, a lot of the shit that's in these drinks is probably total poison. And I will admit that I indulge in soda and energy drinks, but you shouldn't be drinking 24-ounce monsters, 3-4 of them a day. That's crazy. But I like my caffeine intake because I literally never get headaches. So that's why I love caffeine.
One of the suggestions that was brought up by a very smart friend of mine, he's talking about the idea of introducing Ulysses contracts into society. And a Ulysses contract is basically where you sign a contract with a future self, with your own self in the future, saying, like, I'm no longer allowed to buy ice cream sandwiches, for example. And people will hold you to that. Like, let's say your card would simply no longer be able to make that purchase. You're going to fight. You're going to whinge and cry about not being able to view porn. But the rational side of you says this stuff is really damaging your brain and it's not good. And so I would sign a contract that said, take it away from me. Even though I really want to view it, I've grown up on it, It's part of my life. It's part of my daily life. I'll admit that it's like in AA. They have you admit that you've lost control. That's the first step. You're not in control here. Your vices have taken over. They've won. It's too big for you to conquer.
Yeah.
All right. Brent Rule, I'm going to let you ask one more question, and then I'm going to move on to new callers. You go ahead, Buckle.
Give me a sec. I can't think of anything at the moment. Sorry.
All right. Hey, Brent Rule, I'll bring you back if you can think of something. Just put it in the private chat, and we'll add you back in a minute, okay?
All right.
Leon Wine, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Leo Wine. Oh, okay. I've talked to you. Okay. What's up, buddy boy?
What's up? It's interesting. Dismal was talking about how the vices take over. So Daniel Dennett, he had this this hypothesis about the brain that it's essentially this endosymbiotic organism, where the different parts of the brains themselves are almost like these clusters of cells, like cell colonies that are competing with each other. and eventually they've formed an endosymbiotic relationship, but they're also kind of communicating with each other independently. So let's say, for example, you have an addiction. Well, this is probably the limbic system overtaking the signals from like the frontal lobe over time.
Yeah, it's interesting how a lot of different theories converge on this point, and even just by taking a look at your own like dispositions, our bodies are almost trying to kill us. Like our desires and our wants, they're putting us in situations with women where we're getting set up to be blackmailed. They're putting us they're destroying us by making us prefer like the worst food, making us ugly, all of these things, right? It's almost like your body wants to kill itself, but
Well,
you have,
just
yeah, go on.
it's just sorry. It's just that I think a lot of these instincts are vestigial after the agricultural revolution, whereas when you look at the environment during, let's say, like the beginning of the Holocene, right after the end of the last glacial maximum, when things started getting warmer and a bit more tropical. Well, being kind of impulsive and having a knee-jerk reaction, that can be the difference between getting your throat ripped out by a saber-toothed tiger or, living another day. Or like, for example, like greed. You find an apple or a berry bush, you're going to take as many as you can. Or for example, with reproduction, you're going to try to sleep with as many women as you can because your tribe has like 50 of them. And
Yeah.
the nearest person is God knows how far away, because there was like 20,000 people at one point.
I want to say something. Daggers, you still there?
Yeah.
Daggers, what would you say to that capitalism's not the problem, it's greed. That don't blame capitalism, blame greed. Well, what would you what's your kind of response to that?
Well, capitalism is not innately a problem because you can control it to have optimal outcomes. Like I think what China does, China and Europe, they both try to control it in different ways. And Europe, it does have a more functioning democracy. China, the corporations can never defy the state. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with that because, like, literally in American capitalism, they started saying greed is good. They started worshiping a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
Well, really, I think that there's really no difference between like how a lot of these corporations are structured and like how states are structured. And if you look at the history of like not just capitalism, but like postmodern corporations are modeled very closely after like military structures. So, you have kind of like an autocrat, like a CFO, that's subject to this kind of quasi parliament. You could say the shareholders are that kind of quasi parliament, and then you have like their kind of law enforcement, and you look at these things in the past like company towns, company police forces, like the Battle of Blair Mountain, where they hired these like private military to basically shoot these protesters in Virginia, these coal miners.
I want to, if I can, just touch on a comment that was left.
Yeah, go ahead.
That,
Oh,
because
wait.
this is a,
Hold on a second.
yep.
Leo, I'm going to let you go. Hang in the back if you have another question. I got to add more callers.
Yeah,
so-
it was really good to hear from. This is an old friend of mine, Leo.
Okay,
and I
good,
haven't heard from
good.
him in a long time, and it's
Leo, I'll add you back in a minute. Dismal, go ahead.
it's really good to hear from him. But he's always got really highbrow questions. But this Owen Johns says, so normies get to have sex, but I can't goon because it's bad for my brain. This is a common pushback you get a lot. And I'll accept it. Like, I don't think normies should get to have sex at all. I want to live in a brave new world. I told the millennial woes as much. Like, I don't think normies should be having sex. I don't think they should be reproducing. Where has it gotten us? It's gotten us to a post-boomer generation of lost souls. I don't, if I had the means and the power, normies would never get their dick wet again. I want to move them beyond even wanting to. I want people to view sex like they view banana chips. I don't even want. I want them to be indifferent to it. So I don't think normies should get to keep slaying and doing all of this either.
VF, you're live on the Thomas White Show. How you doing, Bucko?
What's up? I'm sorry if you guys maybe covered this already because I haven't listened to the whole stream. But
weren't you the one talking shit about the Thomas White Show?
No.
Well, I don't care what Thomas White thinks or says. Fuck him. He's an idiot. Isn't that you?
No.
I don't know. I think I heard you talking shit.
No.
BF, I'm just giving you shit. Go ahead, man.
Have you seen all of these like British influencers making basically like I don't know, what's the opposite of a hit piece? Yeah, you know, making good content about the United States very suddenly, as if British people haven't been coming to the United States for like, you know, the whole history of the country. It comes across to me as like some Fed operation, like propaganda. And I was just going to ask what you thought of it.
Can you sort of restate the question? I didn't fully.
Maybe you haven't seen it, but in my social media feed, I've been seeing a ton of people reposting these British influencers. Like
what kind of influencer?
Well, just like
political.
I don't know, just like British people. I don't know if there's any specific type, but just British people talking about positive experiences in America and how much better it is than, you know, the UK, which America is better than the UK, but like, I mean, I think it's just kind of marginal at this point.
Yeah.
And it was like a wave that kind of hit social media, but I guess you guys didn't see it because it doesn't seem like you guys noticed it.
I saw a bit of what you're talking about.
But I live in like the Bible Belt, so it's getting reposted a lot where I'm at because I'm in like, you know, MAGA territory, I guess. But yeah, I guess you guys haven't seen
Canada too. They did this a lot. Like Canada, especially the boomers, they're in this perpetual America worship under the guise of like LeBase Trump, where even my dad will say, my dad almost got into an argument with another boomer about this at a piano recital that my cousin was doing. He's saying like, yeah, you know, we're thinking about maybe moving south of the border, going out, like America worship under the guise of Trumpism. That's just been the norm in Canada for a long time, especially Texas. But just America in general, they're like, yeah. Boomers will argue about like the kind of mega boomers will say that they want to be integrated into the U.S. They want to be annexed, and then these more like center left ones will push back and call them cucks, basically. And
so what do you think?
Thing.
Do you think the United States is trying to keep its citizens from leaving, or do you think it's trying to attract more immigration to it, basically?
I think it's both, and I think it's trying to stop whites from leaving for sure. It's also trying to bring in Infinity Jeets. But I was talking to this Filipina chick, and she said, you know, it's not just us using whites for green cards. A lot of whites are using Filipino women because if you marry one, you can buy property there. And a lot of people are getting the fuck out of the West. And
it is, Dismal, it is both. It's about wiping out the white race. The only threat to the billionaire elite class, the Jew boys and all the rich fucks. That's literally what it is. It's all about wiping out whitey. I mean, that's what World War II was. That's what all the history of the war, the future where we're headed, that they want to constrict and ensnare whitey as much as they can and get away with whatever they can. That's what it's about. I'm sorry to sound like a Wignac crazy person, but that's literally what's happening. It's to control the perspective threat.
The Thomas, the biggest lie we were ever fed, and we were fed a lot, but the biggest one was the first world, third world distinction. The West is a fucking shite hole. There is no third world. Go to Turkey. Go to these other places that they say is like third world. Compare it to Canada, man.
The South is third world.
Go to Mexico and tell me that the infrastructure is not like way better. It's not, and I'm not saying everywhere. I know they got like dirt roads and chickens, but I'm just saying like the contrast is not really meaningful anymore.
No. I'm in Colombia right now, and I mean, there's obviously
Nice.
like bad crime here, but this place is ahead of the United States in a lot of ways. And
I don't doubt it.
the people here aren't smart. They're not like Asians. They're like they're not like as dumb as blacks, but they're not as smart as like an Anglo-Germanic person, but they're still kind of just plowing ahead and making things better steadily. That's not happening in America.
Most whites aren't smart, dude, and I hate to admit that. Like,
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
Most
Honestly,
whites
though,
are
Dismal,
fucking
this is where I
retards,
get
dude.
annoyed with you and some of these other guys on these streams. Like, I don't give a shit about IQ. I don't give a shit about, obsessing about behavioral patterns. Like, I'm just racist, bro. Like, I don't care if they're smarter or if they're stupid or if they're poor. Like, I'm so sick of this, like, why we have to deal with or accept people that don't belong in America. I don't care if they're upright. I don't care if they're good people. I don't care if they're helping or contributing. Like, I'm just
you're of the mind like go be better than me somewhere else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean I've laid out my arguments against this, and if that's your view and you're consistent, then it is what it is. I would just agree to disagree. I think that what the only thing that I'm proud of to be white is that we managed these accomplishments. We managed these like feats of building societies and things like that. And it was in virtue, I think, of a lot of culling of our own. I think it was solely in virtue of the fact that we basically just got rid of our like subhuman white underclass, and we had nothing but elites and like middle class, working class, moralistic people. But I think that after the war, after we lost the war, they came in, women and Jays came in, and what they did, and Oswald Mosley talked about this. The way that they subverted us is that they prevented us from culling within our own group. So I place a very heavy emphasis on the intra-racial like quality control rather than interracial like between group tensions. It could be a white subhuman who's just fat and gross. They have a kind of material incentive to get in bed with a lot of these nons, a lot of these, because under my system, they wouldn't really make the cut. Like a lot of white people aren't fit for a white society, even though that might sound oxymoronic. But I think we had this. I always think of Ben Franklin and like his definition of white was like it had a moral component to it. You had to be of good character. You know what I mean? If you're just some fat fuck like Brendan Fraser in The Whale or whatever, like I'm like, how's he any different than a Groyd? Really? He's so
In my
impersonal.
opinion, I mean, like I get what you're saying, but like I just don't care how disgusting like my own people may have become. I believe in a strong state. I'm more of a statist in that we need a state to protect and defend. You said that you shouldn't be allowed to have a a soda pop. Well, I agree with you in the sense that the state should protect its citizenry. But when you have no delineation from who is a citizen and you actively discriminate against the native population that built this whole society, that built everything, that's a problem. So anyway, let's add another caller.
Yeah, fair
you want
enough.
to hang up for a little while?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'll let you hang up. All right, Makubu or whatever the fuck your name is.
Oh,
What do you got? Don't troll me now.
Mokuba. Yeah, so
You were
I'm not
live.
trolling. I'm just saying when I go out in
Hold the
public as a
phone.
white
Hold the
person,
fucking phone.
I'm getting smiles.
Before you say anything, tell us a little bit, like, we want to know the stats. We want to know the stats, the ethnic background, the age, and if you're a sex haver. Go ahead, Makubo. You were live.
I'm incel. I'm diagnosed autistic. Not a sex haver. I'm a gooner.
And what ethnicity?
wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I'm a white boy, but
You're a white boy, really?
I would
You
rather
don't sound
break bread
white.
with
You don't
non-whites
sound white,
than
Bucko.
whites at this point. And the reason why?
You don't sound white, Bucko. Like,
The fuck is this?
let's be real. Like, don't be a faggot now. All right. Go ahead. You're live. You're live.
I'll cam up to prove it. You guys want like a hand? Do you want a face? What are we doing, guys?
We need a
Well,
skin
no,
check.
I think there's a delay. I'll cam.
What's your question? Figure it out.
My question, and it's a take. It's not a question. When I go to the mall in my city, the non-whites are offering me a lot more grace than the whites are.
Malls don't exist anymore.
All right.
Could
That's
that be
how I know
because you're
lying.
not white?
Makuba, let me just explain something to you. Like, white people are living in a very unhealthy environment where they are distrusting of others because of all the invasion. That the reason Whitey is not treating other whites with grace and dignity is because of the presence of the non-white race. That's why Whitey is all fucked up right now. That's literally like been documented. There's literally studies that have been, there have been books written about this, that the social cohesion amongst whites has been disrupted because of the invasion. Go ahead, you're live. You're live, Bucko. I know.
I'd rather
I know
see
your little
non-white
brown
kids
person
go
at the
to
mall
school.
treated you nicely.
That's all white
Fine.
people are good for is staggering each other. Whites don't want to come to the table in good faith.
I get what you're saying. I'm not trying to discount what you're saying, but you have to understand why that is happening. And like, I'm not even mean. I don't want to be mean or just I don't want to be cruel or ghoulish towards non-white people. Like, some of them are nice folks. I mean, hell, I've golfed with a few of them. I mean, I'm not trying to hang out and break bread at home and have a dinner or hang out at the bar with them, but
I'm a white boy.
I mean, I have had good experiences with non-whites. Thank you very much for calling in.
I mean, you can have good experiences with them, but they shouldn't be flooding into the country.
Yeah, we don't need infinity jeets into Canada. Now liberals have nowhere to run to.
It always reminds me of this meme. This guy's like, it's like a cartoon animation, and he's covered in ants, and he's like exclaiming, "I'm getting eaten to death by ants." And then there's this smug guy. He's got his arms crossed. He's like, "Not all ants." It's basically like that. I mean, the same old max alt fallacy.
Yeah, I look at it from like a cold.
Wait, disgraced liberal, you're live on the Thomas White Show. Go ahead.
Hey, so just making sure is my microphone okay?
Yeah, you sound
You're
a little
good.
nervous. You sound a little nervous. How you doing, Bucko?
I could be better, but yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm rather new to these spaces, and I've been talking with Mr. Daggers, ironically, about liberalism, and I just had some thoughts while you and Daggers were speaking about capitalism. I think it's something that you would most likely agree with, but I do want to get it out my chest. So when you brought up the genetic stock, how there's a weak genetic stock and how that's one of your main concerns over capitalism. I feel like capitalism and liberalism are the vehicles that got us to this point. Since I used to spend a lot of time in these spaces, I was originally an economics major in college, so I was the one spreading this propaganda and these talking points that leftist liberals would use to justify the importation of many illegal immigrants. For example, I feel like liberalism and capitalism are essentially a way to formalize and validate in a mathematical way with stupid charts, such as the Phillips curve, supply and demand, all these aggregate charts to say we deserve to suffer because the GDP or whatever measurement. Am I wrong? Okay, sorry, I would continue because the GDP or
No, you're good.
whatever,
Sorry.
yeah, whatever. No, you're all good. I appreciate the
I
feedback.
laughed at something in the chat. I wasn't laughing at you. I was listening. I laughed at something in the chat.
Yeah, no, all good.
My apologies.
No, you're all good. Back on my thought train. For example, a lot of people say Americans are uncompetitive in the global market. All that means is Americans demand too much pay. And why do we do that? It's obvious because it costs a lot to fucking live in America. But
Yeah,
they
I
say
agree.
we need to bring in Indians or outsource to some Indian IT agency or bring in or illegal Mexicans are good just because it makes American companies more globally competitive. So
Yeah,
I
it's a good
feel like
take.
liberalism is the vehicle, which is why I've been talking with Mr. Daggers, and it's something I love to complain about since I was one of these people saying, oh, because the Phillips curve and interest rates, you don't deserve to get paid enough to get your studio in San Francisco or whatever. If an Indian guy is more competitive than you, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I'm a disgraced person.
if I had a dual citizenship in another country where my dollar went 80 times further, I'd be working like a fucking mule. There wouldn't be a Jeet on earth who could work half as hard as me. There's no incentive when the incentive's not there. Cuz white boys, this is our homeland. We have to spend our money here and the money doesn't buy anything, so we don't work as hard. Filipinos are able to buy a house back home for like 30 grand, like a nice house. Probably better than the one that my parents live in. Of course, they're working 8 days a week. Obviously, that doesn't mean that they fucking work harder than wasps. Are you kidding me? It's just they have a very strong incentive, whereas we have none.
They can the corporations exploit the non-whites when they come over. So like, oh, they don't pay as much, white guys can't make buy a house or whatever, have a nice life in a single family home with 2 kids because of like the wage scale. To
Did you
me,
hear?
so you
Sorry.
bring in all these people and they're willing to do the work and white boys are on their phone too much. Well, that's exploitation. That's exploitive. That's not like healthy to have
Dude,
these dirty beaners cleaning your hotel rooms or taking the trash out or doing all these menial task jobs. That's not a healthy. That's not a way to function structure a society.
there's an incentive disparity.
and it's fucked up because they pulled the ladder on Whitey. You don't want to take trash out. You don't want to clean floors and not afford an apartment. Well, we'll have some beaner do it. That to me is the upper scale whites and the Jews and whoever. Like,
There's a huge incentive gap between whites and everyone else, which is reflected in their work ethic and how much they're willing to do. But do you know who Matt Parrott is? Thomas? You probably know Matt Parrott, right? on
Yeah,
Twitter.
yeah. I'm not very. I mean, he has no charisma, so it's tough. I mean, I guess his Twitter might be okay, but
His Twitter's good, yeah. His Twitter,
he's a kind of a nerdy kid. But I think he's had some good takes over the last 10 years.
he does, yeah. He has good takes. I'll defend him on that. But he has this take that I thought is kind of related to what you just said. He thinks that what they're gonna do in like 30 to 50 years is the Jays or whoever are gonna flip this back on us, and they're gonna say that woke was like H1B stuff was like this white supremacy evil thing, and we're gonna have to pay reparations for it. They're gonna like say they'll make a movie about it or something and say we took these people and forced them to sign these employment contracts with the threat of deportation, and we were robbing their nations of talent, and you have to give reparations and like pay for this evil. He says they're going to hit us again with it, like on the flip side of it in the future.
Yeah,
But
like
who?
the like liberals and conservatives, like they're both liberals, and throughout history, the liberal order has like defended colonialism, importing slaves that now live with us, and we have to, have diversity hires and welfare and learn about how we're evil. And there is basis like it may or may not be bad enough that they could turn it into like their slavery to make us feel guilty, so that we got to give money to them and sacrifice our own positions more for
woke.
diversity hires.
Yeah, like they'll say that we were kind of evil for doing woke in the future, and we'll have to pay for that and like feel bad about that.
But in 30 to 50 years, what white people will be left? The only white people left will be in the Nordic and Scandinavian countries.
I don't know, man. I'm not a big. I'm not worried about the white race like really ceasing to exist. I don't know as it'll exist in a way that I would want it to. I don't think it's actually gonna. There's super rich whites that have kids, and there's dirtbag whites that have kids. There's just no middle class whites. There's no average white people. That's my view. They're either these like dirtbag 80 IQ tards, or else they're the gated community guys that like preach woke but don't live around it. They have like beautiful white families, and
Yeah,
they
but I
say,
mean, realistically, white women in the lower classes are just going to keep breeding to middle class nons until there's pretty much no, at least in like North America. In North America, I think there won't be any white people left, because I think that dynamic is going to keep playing out. Of course, there will be like elite whites that own, Pfizer or whatever, but that's going to be such a small, like, cloistered off gated community. They're not going to get like media attention or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, the ruling class whites that are tucked away and people don't know about them, like people barely know about, even the Rothschilds and Rockefellers at this point. And like even Jewish billionaires have trouble penetrating these ruling elite white communities that are tucked away in New England and shit. And like gated communities you never hear about, just casually siphoned from society. But didn't you, Dismal, say that there might be like these new mixed races? There's going to be an upper caste of like white Asians and then black something else.
I see when I go out, and I go out a lot. I'm at the beach every single day, and I see a lot of black male, white female, and I see a lot of white male, Asian female. And I think that if the trend continues, I don't believe in kind of this like mud man theory where everything just gets thrown in a blender together. I think there's going to be distinctive secondary races where they're like pure mixed people. Like you came from a proper Chinese mom and a proper Anglo dad, or you came from like a proper like African Ghana man and like a proper white woman. And once you get enough of them, inevitably they have a community and they lobby for special interests. Like in New York City, there is a Asian community and it's large and it's distinctive. Like they do identify as Asians, and they have social events together exclusively for Asian people. And that's just the beginning of it. Like there's gonna be a lot more that are just being born right now when you go to places like Toronto, NorCal, Sydney. There's a lot of white male, Asian female, and a lot of black male, white female.
All right. A disgraced liberal. You have one more question. I'm kicking you. Go ahead.
My mind's a bit blank right now. Kick me. Let's keep this show rolling.
You feel free to call in the future. Thank you. All right, we're gonna bring back Leo. Leo.
Hey, how's it going? It's funny you guys talk about the disappearance of the middle class. And so I think when you look at the history of like European civilization and the result of the Napoleonic Wars, right, and the French Revolution, and the fact that the original left-right dichotomy is based off of, I think it was basically the rise of the bourgeois intelligentsia class creating these reactionary political movements to the old order, the monarchy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, not a bad take. Leo,
Yeah, I agree.
I'm winding down. I'm gonna wrap up the show in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So
I got 23% battery. I'm a full day.
Leo, you can ask one more question or make one more statement, but make it quick, please.
Has anybody here read anything from Nick Land, or what do you think about the idea that capitalism was really just a way of the techno-capital singularity manifesting itself by encouraging technological innovation?
I really like. I haven't actually read Nick Land. It's very hard to read, and it's difficult. It's on my to-do list, but from what I know of his theories, what I think I understand, I like the way it's a little bit like speculative and narrative driven, but
It's
I
very
kind of,
Heideggerian.
yeah, it's a little bit obscure and it's not like necessarily the way I tend to approach things, but I like it though. I definitely think it's like really cool to think about stuff like that. I definitely plan to engage with a bit more of it.
All right, Leo, thank you for the plug. People, go read Nick Land if you're bored. Thanks for calling in, Bucko. You feel free
Yeah,
to.
it was really good to hear from you again. I hope everything's going well in your life, and glad to hear you still.
I'm still kicking, brother. I'm still
You're
here.
still kicking. You're still thinking. You're still learning, and that's fucking cool, man. Really good hearing from you, my friend.
Oh, and before I leave, everybody should read The Idea of Nature by Robert Collingwood. Great fucking book.
Wait, you say the name again?
The Idea of Nature by Robert Collingwood.
Thank you for the plug.
Good plug. That's a good plug.
All right. I think we're done with callers. I think. Do we have any more callers? Oh, Makuba, I'll let you have one more question. Hurry the fuck up about it, though. Makuba, you there, Bucko? All right. He's dicking off. Whatever. VF, is there anything you want to say? How'd you find the channel? VF, are you there? All right, he stepped away to take a shit. All right, Mr. Daggers. I just want to give you I don't know. How do I say it? I really like your streams. I like that you're kind of not. Wolf Slumber streams too much. He streams like 8 hours a day. He's doing it every day.
Yeah, it's too much.
He doesn't have a more of a concise kind of, simple,
I
he doesn't.
agree. Yeah.
It's just wide open, and I can't listen to all that. Like, scarcity is a thing. Daggers, you're not overdoing it. You do 1 week stream, once a week stream's good. 3-4
There's
hours.
not enough to talk about. Like, you just gotta just try to do the one stream a week for the last 3 years, and just try to talk throughout it and try to stop the dead air.
Yeah, I really like that. Celtic Cat likes to post 8 to 12-minute videos on occasion, and then he'll do one stream a week, so I can kind of keep up with what he's all about. Just having a hangout platform for any idiot to just that's Mike. I'm not trying to rip you, Wolf. Wolf's
No, I agree. I have the same criticism.
Wolf's an interesting guy. He's not stupid. He clearly knows his history. But being maybe too
much dead air.
Yeah, there's some problems with Wolf's channel, but he's gonna figure it out. He's learning. But no, Daggers, I think you're doing a good job. I'm glad to hear you're writing and you're gonna put out a book, or you already put out a book. God, I almost need to buy that fucking thing. God damn it. I don't want to spend money and I don't want to fucking dox myself. But I don't know. I'll find a fucking copy or something. Maybe I should send it or something. But that's
I see people's full names when they give me money. I ain't gonna fucking say shit. I'm 1 foot in the grave. What does it matter if I know your name or not, or whatever?
Daggers, I understand. Here's just one thing I'll say too, and I'm not trying to be like critical. I just think that your voice, much like Celtic Cat, isn't good radio, and it's not. I'm not saying I don't like your streams.
No, I get you.
I think your streams are great, and I think Celtic Cat does some pretty good streams, and he's a pretty smart guy as well. It's just people get a little put off by some of these people's voices out here on these streams. Like it's, people tend to, it's like parasocial relationship. People like they like people because of the way they sound or whatever, and they either like you or they don't. And Mr. Daggers, I made my roasty girlfriend listen to your stream 2 weeks ago. No, not the icks per se, but she thought you were awesome, but your voice sucked.
My voice isn't the best for it.
I'm fully aware of this. I am genuinely depressed, and I feel like I'm gonna die soon. That's why I'm trying to finish some things. I'm trying to get my affairs in order.
But other than your voice, she thought you had some interesting things to say. So just to let you know.
That's good to hear. And I
gotta really bring it too, because I know my voice isn't enough to really.
No, Dismal, your voice is fine. Like your voice, you and Western Decline, like you're too self-deprecating with your own voice. I think Western Decline's got a great radio voice.
It's better than mine for sure. He doesn't have like a dashboard voice.
Dashboard's like elite level.
Dashboard's got elite level voice, yeah.
But no, Mr. Daggers, I really like your streams. Keep doing them. I'll try to plug them, but people just they get put off by your voice and don't let it bother.
I get it. No, I know. I'm well aware. It's just like I'm dying. What do you want from me? This is how I talk. I'm bored. I'm bored of life. I'm done with this. Like I just sit on my ass because I just can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah, I like Diggs. I liked you from the first time I heard you. I knew, I kind of know the difference between people now, and I was like, yeah, that's a guy who's worth listening to, and he's worth, interlocuting with. He's worth conversing with, and yeah, I really appreciate this, Thomas. Honestly, even if there's nothing to say, this kind of nostalgia of just being on here with you guys, I don't know, man. It kind of sucks when you end the stream, not to get too cheesy or whatever, but it's this was it's meaningful to me, There's some of the best memories I have for just on here shooting the shit with movies and Western and you, and
No,
This
really,
comeback meant a lot to me. This comeback, like whether you stay or not, this stream meant a lot to me.
no, I'm gonna stick around. We're gonna do the movie reviews, and I want to run down the gamut. We're gonna do them Darren Aronofsky films. We got a lot of films to discuss, and it's gonna take time. Like we can't do it every day. It's gonna be once or twice a month or something. Maybe
Yeah.
we can do shit posty streams, and Dismal kind of, I don't know, he kind of convinced me to get on the
Yeah, I dragged you into this.
and I'm glad I
stream.
did it, man. I was really good to hear from you over the last couple months talking about China and that experience. We didn't really get into that enough, but yeah, it was good to just get back on the air and just
It means a lot, man. Like somebody said earlier in the chat, there, you were saying you don't have much to talk about, and it said, it just makes people there feel like they're less lonely. And I know that's really cheesy to say, but like it's nostalgia is a hell of a thing. It's like,
dude, tell me
nothing
about
hits
it.
like
I listened
nothing
to
hits like nostalgia.
Dismal. I listened to wrestling shoots, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, no, you and me both, man. I can't fall asleep unless I have one on. Honestly, I honestly can't fall asleep unless I have one on.
Yeah, I plan on doing streams in the future. I don't know how often, you guys. Oh, memory hold, black pill back shots. You were live.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna give you one question, one statement, and we're out of here. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's two. But anyways, I think VF he just mentioned that there's like a psyop going on where you have these British people that come over and they basically say how good America is. Like they'll make note of the discounts that you could buy in bulk at Costco of all the slop. And it also got to a point where I think they're paying off some American woman in the United States. I don't know why they can't do it in the UK, but they're basically commentating on TikTok how America is so good because we have AC here, and when we visited, and over in the UK we don't. And it's obviously they're grifting. They don't have an actual accent. But I think it
No,
ignores the true.
wait. Memory. Here's the thing, though. Like the portion sizes are
Yeah.
they're bleak. They don't have air conditioning in a lot of these countries in Europe. I mean, there are things about them. I've never been to Europe. My father had, and he wanted to come back. Like my dad didn't think Europe was that great.
I think that the real issue with America, it's like the atomization. Like even if you live in a white neighborhood, like I know there are people they look at it with like rose tinted glasses. It's so like atomized, like within that. Like you see how people like the neighbors, whatever, they don't really go to each other's houses like they did in these movies in the 90s where they have these potlucks and barbecues and then they have housewarming
Yeah.
stuff. Like I think Liberate mentioned this. He says like in a neighborhood, you basically will have some person, they'll come home, they'll drive into the garage and they'll close it and then walk inside. Like they're so antisocial. And then if you contrast that with Europe, there are these clips of when I look at Clav, I don't look at Clav, I look at what's happening in the background, like in France
Yeah,
or whatnot.
that's a great way to look at it. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's how back then I think what's his name, Dashboard and we went over like the demographics on these walking tours. And if you look at Italy, you look at France, there's a lot more fraternization between the sexes. If you look at these like frats in the United States, I call it like algae bloom segregation. There'll be a blob of four girls and then four guys on the other side. It's like the sex relations in Europe, from what I've seen in those cursory videos, they're a lot more amicable in nature. So I think there's other things that like it exceeds the hustle culture and stuff we have in the US, because I think what's happening now, you see it a lot of guys, they're engaging in this nuptial gifting. They're getting all these lifted trucks, they're maxing out like all these other things. And I really think I think Dashboard said it himself. Over there's more of like a better gender ratio in contrast to the US. And as a result, people were like they're engaging in these hyper competitive antics, like the hustle culture, the neoliberalism, the whole like thing that's going on here is a lot worse over there. I don't think there's as much as this grifting culture, all this stuff happening over there. And I think in that manifesto, the guy touches on it. He doesn't really touch on like anything relating to the economy, like Marxism and capitalism, but he talks about all the like the scam grifters and whatnot. Oh yeah, and then my last point would be it wraps around to the whole like shooter thing. I think like a lot of these guys that they come out with these manifestos and you come to the conclusion that no one cares to read all that shit because I think Trump, like yesterday, there was like some reference to Albert Einstein, and he said, "Who cares?" And the whole cabinet was laughing. But it just speaks to basically Trump has a better like thumb on like the attention
Handle,
spans,
yeah,
what people
yeah.
want to hear. Yeah, stuff like that. Like no one wants to read any of that stuff. There was like an incident right now. It's one of those like Wicker Men things. I think Eric Stryker he touched on it. They're trying to bring back this whole like grooming gang thing, like from that has been happening for like quote unquote 20 years. But I think Western Decline and I years ago we covered it. Like we watched it on YouTube, and then we kind of noticed that it's all fake and gay. Like they're police guys standing around and then these young girls they're like unattended by their parents and they're basically going up to these packies and whatnot and they're exchanging their bodies for drugs like it's 100% consensual and I went through the whole like 200-page document. Most people didn't. I took all these excerpts and it's like yeah they're basically trading their bodies for money and the parents are nowhere to be found. And
Yeah.
it's like yeah it's all bullshit, but the reason they're doing that is because it's like a Jewish wicker man like the Tommy Robinson, they're only singling out the Muslims. They're like, oh,
Yep.
it's only the Muslims, but they're ignoring. I
They're making
remember,
it sound like they're climbing through your window.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
It's kosher
I'm so sick of this
racism.
rage porn shit, guys. I really am. In fact, I wanted to touch on something real quick before we get out of here, Dismal. The Carmelo Anthony and all the more racism on Twitter, isn't it cringe? Like the N-word over and over again, and like
Yeah, it's
kind of like Pyrrhic victory. Like, oh, we got him, the black guy going to jail forever, blah blah blah. Like, it's just cringe. Like, and I don't want to sound like a weirdo because I'm like I'm an evil racist or whatever.
It's kosher racism. It's
I
not
think
real.
I think it
When
may
I
be
see
cringe,
that,
but I think
stop. When I see that level of racism on Twitter, like I don't really think it's just cringe, guys. Dismal, do you? What do
yeah.
you?
No, I completely concur.
I think
And
it's cringe, but I think Dismal said the Chud the Builder thing was good because you basically want to get these boomers to like recognize like the what's it called how these can't say it the how these ends are like the whole T&D thing like it was kind of necessary the grug racism component what Dismal was saying.
I just think it was just satisfying to me, maybe at like a very like primate level. I don't even know. I did say that. I still don't even know as I'd stand by that take, though. I think the more I look back, it might have just been satisfying to me at like a bit of a primate level.
You know why I think it's retarded? Because there was an incident like recently. There was this Jew, and I could just tell by physiognomy. They made it to be like looking like a Gentile, and this Gentile said to this Jew, "I'm not working for you because you're Jewish." And it looks like so retarded. I'm like, who's doing this? Like, if because it makes sense if you have no stake in the game. Like, if you're Western Decline, you could say "fuck you, Jew." He has nothing. But it's like this guy had like a good like job or something, and he had it lined up, and it's like, why would he do that? And you find out that they're both Jews. And it's like they're trying to do this thing where they make people like that have potential financial prospects like in college. They basically out themselves, and then the Jews have this whole like network, this canary mission to defame you and to basically rip you at your knees. So it's like a lot of these guys, I think they're really naive. They don't understand. It's like winner take all. You have guys like Nick Fuentes. They're like part of a talent agency they brought out, and you're not going to fill that void. Even if you like put yourself out to the flames, it's going to get you nothing. You're just going
They
to be
don't understand. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a perpetuation of slave morality.
Yeah, and right now, like, yeah, I think that there's two Jews trying to do this, and it's like, yeah, it's obviously a ploy to get people like, cut at the knees that probably would do a better life, have a better life without, engaging this stuff. And by that, I think you touched on this Dismal. You said, what's the point of the quote unquote truth? Like, if you know the JQ and all these things, but you basically advocate for it, even and there's no like what's it called? There's no incentives. There's nothing that comes your way from doing that. Like it's not gonna move the needle, is what I'm saying. It's just gonna like hamstring you more. I'm not saying this as a D-Rad. You can do whatever. But I'm just saying for like the average person, basically.
All right, memory hold. Thanks for calling in, man. We'll do another stream in the future. Okay, Buckle.
I wanted to comment on the shooter, but whatever.
All right, well,
I'm going to touch on your first point really quick, just with a bit of a funny analogy.
Yeah, Dismal, go ahead.
Yeah, the value of life in America is at it can't possibly get any lower. I think it's not quite there yet in Europe. And my neighbor, my boomer neighbor, recently died. She died alone in her bed. And the first thing I thought, I was like, "Fuck, sweet as I'm gonna get her parking spot, right?" And she wasn't a bad person. Like she was always very nice to me and my family, but uh, basically everybody on the street kind of just ransacked her stuff. Like I got a Zippo lighter that was really nice, and I got this knife, like a chef knife, and I was like, "Oh, this is fucking awesome!" Like I wish more people would die, and that's just how. Honestly, dude, that's how
Yeah.
people. And I wasn't trying to be like nasty. It was just reality. I'm like, "Oh fuck, I can park in this spot so quick to my house. Like I'm gonna walk across their lawn. I can take a shortcut now." I wasn't trying to be like nasty, but that's just the reality. Like I don't.
Dude, they're like white like people like or not. There's Western Decline. There's that Blazing guy. Like they basically grown atomized to where even if they have they're like whatever. It's not really. It's an ambivalent relationship with their parents. They basically acknowledge that if they died and the resources were handed over to them, it would just be better of a use because some of these like white boomers when they grow old, it's just complete hedonism. Like whatever they go on trips to Macau or whatever, and they're just blowing through it when that could be utilized to for like someone that's youthful or whatever. Like,
Dude, my
there's no like
parents,
yeah yeah.
when my parents went into her house after she died, and they found every single gift that they had given her over the years still in the box, like an air fryer. Some of them were really good too, like an air fryer, all this stuff. And so my parents just took it back after she died. Like they're like, "Sweet, we got a new air fryer." She never opened the one we gave her. Like, dude, the value of life is comedically worthless.
Yeah.
Like
Dude, it makes you
it's
think like
ridiculous,
dude,
dude.
on TikTok there's a lot of these guys, they go to these stores and basically they're like these penny items like at Home Depot. So they're scan these penny items and they'll like check it out and it'll be like a $800 item for like a penny. And then do these Karens, these it's always these Karen women, they come up and they're basically like Uncle Tomming for the institution. They say you can't do this, but obviously the people recording they provoke them and ultimately
Yeah,
they say we bought the item, we can walk away with it. But it's like
All
it's an
right.
interesting
Memory
dynamic.
hold. Your last point. I got to get going. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. So the whole shooter thing, like I don't think these guys understand that to like last to have your name remembered, it has to be like mimetic, and like all these spectacles, they pretty much amount in like what 5 to 30 deaths. Even like big things like the Killdozer or like Sky King. I mean, people forget about that over time. So it's like I don't really see the purpose of like doing these ERs, and I think
it's stupid.
he made a like a point about the pornography. Like he thinks he's basically taking a stand, attacking this like Pornhub or whatever. And the rationale is he thinks that this shaped a lot of women into getting piercings, tattoos, lip fillers. But it's like there's always like a media like invisible hand or a conglomerate like or like some media influence like the Kardashians or whatever. It was bound to happen. And it's like even if you ban Pornhub, I know Dismal says, we have all these things that are hijacking our hormones. Like it's kind of like a prohibition. Like they're gonna find their fix anyways. Like TikTok, for example, if like these guys are going to it and they're just scrolling, like seeing like 500 women a day, like within like a span of 10 minutes. So it's like it's always gonna be there. And I think the overarching point, the last thing I'll leave is this one, what you said, like this whole like, word cell thing, 200 pages. It basically like these guys in the manosphere, they don't want to call out the simpistry of the men. Like it's a whole ruse. Like if men didn't put this overemphasis on trying to get women to come to their side, this whole slave morality thing, like you gotta focus on looking inward. I know it's obviously impossible for most men to do, and ultimately, even if you do it yourself, there's still gonna be guys that hold the line and supplicate to these women. But I think that's where the real issue lies. I think that Zachary guy, spoke on the Buddhism thing and the whole gynocentrism, like stuff like that. I even think like even if you aren't interacting with a woman, like gooning all day, having that as your fixation on your mind, that is still giving them some credence. But
It's
yeah, I'll
it's
leave you with that.
the recognition is
Yeah.
it's any form of recognition, whether direct or indirect. It's like recognitive affirmation.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue. But yeah, I'll leave you with that.
All right, memory hold. Thank you for calling in. You did good today, Bucko. Mr. Daggers, you want to tell us what you're going to be up to in the next week or two?
Just chilling. I just published a dumbass fiction book about a knight that thinks he's in a video game and he murders Palestinians and bullshit. But somebody asked about my books. I have 3 books right now. They're all fiction right now. Space Pirates, Death Knight 666, and then Death Knight 666 Soul Eater. 2 of them have audiobooks. I haven't done anything for the 3rd one. My manifesto is 400 pages. I plan to do an audiobook of that because, as you correctly astuded on this stream, nobody's going to read that shit. But if I do an audiobook, you guys will listen to it while you're wage cucking. So, and hopefully this week or next week, my manifesto is called Consciousness, Consensus, and Counsel. And I plan on publishing that.
And you going to keep streaming on Fridays?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Daggers, you can find his channel on YouTube. He streams on Friday. Daggers, I really appreciate you calling in, and I've enjoyed your criticism of capitalism over the last month or two. And I also like that you clap back, BTFO'd, MGTOW Cowboy. Thank you for doing that, and I appreciate you calling in.
Thanks for having me on and letting me stay here. I appreciate all the shout outs. Those mean a lot.
All right.
Yeah, if anyone ever wants me to read anything too, I don't mind. Don't hesitate to ask. Just in general, like, I don't mind to do that. So,
all right, Mr. Daggers, have a good night.
Yep.
Dismal, what's going on? You're going to be uploading content. Do you want to plug your channel? I'll probably put it in the description, and we'll try to get
I just do whatever, dude. I'm so fucking brain rotted out. My brain's falling out of my fucking head. Like, if I have the energy, I do things. If I don't, I won't.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to twist my arm to get me to come back and do a stream. I really enjoyed this. I always like talking to you.
Really
you're definitely one of the most interesting people on YouTube, and that's whether you like the guy or not. That's just, it is what it is. I really liked hanging out with you today, and let's try to plan on doing a film review and a shitposty stream in the next week or 2.
Nice.
Sound good?
Right. I'm gonna hop out.
All right, later, Bucko.
Later, brother. Take it
easy.
easy.
Make sure and beat your wife when you get home.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good night, bro.